I tried a little bit of Graveyard Keeper.
I don't know what that is.
It's on Xbox Game Pass.
Okay.
And it's kind of like Stardew Valley, except you're a Graveyard Keeper.
I don't know if I know that other game either. So what do you do?
I don't...
Keep a graveyard?
Yep. Yeah. So
you just like the maintenance worker that's at the graveyard?
Sort of. Yeah. There's a story that goes along with it too. I don't want to tell you guys or anything, but you maintain a graveyard. And it's quippy, it's dark humor, it's fun. It's a little tedious. It's like one of those okay, now you have to clear out this part of the thing, and then you have to go to the town and do this, and it's kind of tedious in that aspect, but it's goofy enough and quirky enough as an indie game that I sort of enjoyed it. So,
is it like a sim builder? Because it would be really dark if it was a sim builder and you had to fill the graves, and the more dead
you had to kill people to fill your graves.
No, it's not like that. So you get warped in from the regular world, and all of a sudden you're in this place, and they're like, "Oh, you're the graveyard keeper," and you're like, "What the fuck? Huh? What?" And all of a sudden, a talking donkey, yes, a talking donkey, brings a body by, and they're like, "Okay, well, you got to exhume it and all that stuff, and then bury it." And you're like, "The fuck?"
You're really selling me on this game here. Keep going.
It's actually just watch the trailer for it. It's quirky and kind of awesome.
Okay. So I'm just kind of spitballing here, but I'm kind of thinking the way Andy described that Gravekeeper game, I feel like we should start a new segment where it's just Andy describes video games he's playing. And just
why? Because that was a really horrible description.
Just want to see how well you sell us on these different games that you're playing.
Just watch the damn trailer.
I will do that after this.
Just out of curiosity to see if it's actually Eddie Murphy in the game or not. If you're gonna have a talking donkey.
Oh, I see where you went there. I got you. Took me way too long to get there, but I got there. Hello and welcome to another episode of Bry Guy and His Super Friends. I'm your host, Brian Labick. Joining me for this episode is Mike Bradley.
Hi.
And Andy Stolz.
What's up, podcast people?
So we are back to, I would hope to think, what is sort of our bread and butter. We're going to catch up on some geek news headlines for the past few weeks. Sort of a rundown. We're going to try to cover the new trailer for Spider-Man Far From Home, which I guess is the first trailer, not new trailer, but the first look we have for that. We got an update for an X-Men movie. We're going to talk about some Batfleck. What's next for the Mission Impossible franchise? We got some video game news, and one of these headlines that sounds so good to me on paper that I'm already counting down until next summer. So that's my tease for what we got coming up, so beware. So we're going to open with the Spider-Man trailer. We're just going to get right into it. This will be actually, I guess, our first reviewed trailer of 2019 since we've been recording. So it's none other than Spider-Man Far From Home. We've talked about this before with Endgame and Infinity War. The way that ended, I've been really curious to see how they're going to market this movie. Since I feel like normal people might not have expected to see Spider-Man again this soon, considering how Infinity War ended. And even the trailer itself, I don't think shows really anything tied to Infinity War or Endgame. I didn't see anything in the trailer that could hint, even when this movie takes place, whether it's before or after either of those Avengers movies. So we'll just kind of go around. Andy, if you want to start, what did you think of the trailer?
I liked it. I liked it more than I thought I would, I guess.
Weren't expecting much from this one? Or
I wasn't sure what to expect, given Infinity War.
Yeah.
So, I think it's cool that it looks like Fury plays a pretty big role.
Yep.
It's been a while since he's had a big role in any of the movies.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like, if there's any other character that needs some guidance, Spider-Man would be a good one to have mentor characters in there with him.
Right. But, it still looks like he's got, the love interest in Zendaya and his little quirky comic relief buddy, so...
Ned, right? That's his name, Ned?
Yeah, Ned.
Yeah.
So they got it looks like they got the equation correct.
What equation?
For a good movie,
Oh, yeah, yeah. They got
formula? Is that better?
Yes, formula's better. Yes, that makes more sense to me. Yeah, they're it's the same. Pretty sure it's the same director as Homecoming. I think John Watts came back. So it's still got that John Hughes style in there, which is cool. I think the action looks like it got ramped up in this one, just from the trailer. Mike, anything stick out to you? What did you think of the trailer?
I had been staying mostly in the dark about what was going on with this movie specifically until I saw the trailer. So Jake Gyllenhaal being there as Mysterio was yeah, I did not know that was there. Like I said, I was in the dark, so when I saw him, I was like, oh shit. Oh,
to be fair, since Andy typically I think avoids a lot of these things, I asked him specifically, do you want to cover the trailer? And he said, yeah, let's go for it. I did not ask you if you wanted to cover the trailer or stay away from it.
No. I just had been avoiding. I'm trying more and more to avoid casting announcements and things like that.
Gotcha. Okay.
But
trailers are still okay?
I'm still okay with trailers. But they want to show me, I'll watch. And I don't mind talking about casting announcements, things like that, whatever. But I'm trying not to actively seek it out as much because I feel like it's adding anticipation for things that are way down the road that, they is an example on like my own brain on that. There was talk that they were already looking at casting a new Wolverine, and I wouldn't want to know about it if they did that already, because the chances are we wouldn't see that for a few years.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, now I'm going to have to consciously be very, conscious of what we're going to cover on these, headline episodes now. If we start talking about casting, I'm going to be like, oh, wait, I don't know if Bradley wants to talk about that.
No, like I said, I'm fine talking about it.
Well,
if it's something we want to talk about, I'm fine with talking about it.
Okay.
I'm just saying I'm not actively seeking the information out like I used to. I used to be, really looking for it all the time. So Jake Gyllenhaal was a big surprise for me.
Cool.
So whether or not we're seeing what we're seeing in the trailer, whether or not that's Mysterio making illusions, or if that's Hydra Man, or, looks like they put possibly even Sandman at one point could be there.
I was wondering if that was Absorbing Man.
Right. Could be good old Carl Creel showing up. The only thing I don't know about that is how tied the universes still are, because he was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're counting that or not.
Well, that's the thing. Mike, you and I were sort of texting back and forth, I think, after the trailer came out, because after I sent you the trailer. The little bit that we know of Mysterio, at least as far as his origins, from what I never really read comics with Mysterio. I'm basing a lot of this off of the 90s animated cartoon, which in the cartoon, he was the disgraced stuntman that had it out for people and decided to become Mysterio.
He was a special effects artist.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. You're right. Because that's why, because he was using movie special effects tech.
Yeah.
Which in the animated show were these little hollow cubes that could basically make a hologram of something that would fake people out, and then he'd look like the hero because he's facing these quote-unquote villains.
Yes.
So you're seeing sort of some of that in the trailer, so you have to wonder if that's an illusion that he set up being this special effects background. Or the other theory I was sort of seeing was that these are actual villains, like Hydra Man, Sandman. Somebody said Molten Man was in the trailer somewhere.
I think somebody said all the elementals.
Yeah. So these could be people that, if Mysterio wants to look like the hero, that maybe he's hiring these people out to cause havoc, and then he swoops in to save the day.
Or perhaps they exist, and he has them captured. Maybe he actually, drugged them or something, and he's just, making it look that way. And I don't know. But it definitely looks like he's trying to play that part in the trailer.
Yeah, the whole thing with Mysterio is nothing is as it seems. If he is trying to play the hero, chances are he is not.
Right. The other thing to me, like, I think you kind of said it before, is that we don't know when this happens. And the most notable part of that to me is 100% down to he's not wearing the Stark armor. He is not wearing 17A, if you will. He is wearing the other suit that Stark gave him.
Yes.
So that, to me, why would he not be wearing the incredible suit that Stark gave him in the last movie we seen them in? So this could be something where they kicked it back a few months or a year or something in time just to not conflict with Infinity War.
So I have a theory that I read online. Even as much as I'm trying to stay away from this stuff, I still catch headlines for this stuff. Okay. So if you want, I can throw it out there. We can sort of dissect it and see if it has any bearing on this movie.
I mean, I'm curious.
I don't know how much you guys want to speculate on this stuff, but so at the beginning of Infinity War, Peter Parker is on a bus going on a field trip. He leaves said bus to go help the attack on New York. It's thrown into space, and all the Infinity Gauntlet stuff happens. The theory is that after the events of Endgame, it just picks up basically with him on the bus in Far From Home, like something resets. So he's on the bus going to his field trip right where that movie starts.
That is a really interesting scenario there. So,
yeah, whether or not there's anything, if the rumors are true that Endgame has to do with time travel and, alternate dimension type stuff, there's that sort of conceivably could work, but
that's
but
a wait and
explain
see.
Not getting the Iron Spider armor. That's why he would have the older colored suit. That's why there's no acknowledge of not unless they're just hidden it in the movie somewhere and just the trailer cuts it up that it's maybe in the movie, but they're just not showing it in the trailer. But there's no repercussions of big events that would have happened in Infinity War if this movie takes place after. Which is why I feel like more likely it takes place before. But yeah, I mean, we won't know. It's all speculation at this point.
Yeah, it's definitely speculation. I just think, there's a lot of possibilities out there. Maybe this new suit he has is even newer than 17A. Because we all know Stark obsesses and constantly makes suits.
This is one that Fury gives him, right?
The trailer seems to hint at that he leaves his suit at home, and then obviously he gets another suit when he's in London.
Are we sure that the suit he leaves at home isn't 17A?
Well, the suit he leaves at home is the one that he gets in Homecoming. Like the regular, the first Stark suit.
Okay.
17A is the Iron Spider suit that he gets for Infinity War. The only difference is the color scheme for this one in the trailer is a little bit different. It's not blue and red, it's black and red. So I don't know if it's the same suit, just colored differently, if it's a new suit altogether. We don't know that. And we get another tease for I've heard it referred to two different things. One's it's the stealth suit, and second it's the noir suit. So I don't know which one it could be. It sort of looks like a little bit of both. But he has that quick shot of him in the black suit.
Yeah.
With the goggles.
Yeah.
So there's another suit in there somewhere.
Spider Ninja.
I would not put it past them to do a Spider Ninja. But yeah, I think visually it looks, at least the quick shot that we get, looks more like the noir suit. Stealth suit. I never understood that. And Mike, you can attest to this. If you've used that suit in the Spider-Man PS4 game, it's a black suit, but it lights up with this neon green color, which I don't feel like is very good to be stealthy in.
Keeps him off a radar.
I mean, I can't explain
it.
Yeah,
it could have some practical use, maybe that I just don't know. But visually,
I don't know how,
it looks like it should stand out.
Yeah, I mean, I've got no explanation as for why. I never actually read any of the comics with him using the stealth suit.
Yeah.
So its abilities and the reason it looks the way it does are completely beyond me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, either way, I'm with you guys. I'm looking forward to this. I think the trailer looked really cool. I loved, and I don't know why they don't do this in the fucking movie, but they incorporated like the Spider-Man theme song, like modernized with the orchestra in the trailer. Like I want that in the movie.
Didn't they do that at the beginning of the last one?
They opened it with the Marvel logo, but it's not used as his theme through the movie.
I don't think it needs to be. I think, like... I don't know. I was fine with it in the last movie being, like, opening the movie with it and being like, okay, Spider-Man's home. You can feel good. This is how this should sound. Because I think anytime we ask them to put it in the movie, we're risking a weird lady with a ukulele on the side of the road doing the thing from Spider-Man 2.
That goes in line with Sam Raimi's campy sense of what the tone of those Spider-Man movies are. This is, at least the way it's used in the trailer, is very serious and modern, and it pumped me up just hearing it in the trailer.
I mean, maybe it'll make an appearance this time. Maybe it won't just be in the trailer, in the opening credits. Maybe it'll be in a major scene.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's somewhere in there, because I think it works really well in that trailer. I'm hoping it's not just trailer music.
I think you get more hyped on it, though, than I do.
Probably.
But don't get me wrong, a theme song like that can do things. I just don't know that Spider-Man's is like an action moment theme song the way like Superman's is. Like the Christopher Reeve Superman movies when it's dun da da when he does something amazing. Like I feel like that really hits home, but I don't know if Spider-Man's theme song has the same effect.
Well, I feel like if you're thinking of it from like the cartoon in the 70s, that type of campy theme song, no, it's not going to have that effect. But the way it's orchestrated in the trailer, I think could be used very well for an action sequence in the movie.
Okay. I'm not going to say you're wrong there. That's an absolutely fair statement.
I'll take what I can get.
Did you guys happen to see, Mike, you probably didn't because you haven't been listening to casting announcements, but Jake Gyllenhaal posted like a, 8-second clip after he was cast as Mysterio.
Reading the comic book? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
He was reading a Spider-Man comic with Mysterio on the cover, and you see it like open so you can see the cover, and then he pulls it down so you can see his face, and he's just like, what the and then it cuts.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know if he was like led to believe that he was going to not be the villain, and then he's reading the comic books and realized, wait a minute, I'm playing the bad guy.
Not bad.
So yeah, I think it seems like he's actually having fun, and I think it's even better because I thought he was rumored to be up for the role of Spider-Man in one of those movies, whether it was Raimi's Spider-Man or...
I think it was Raimi's.
Okay. So it's kind of fun that it's kind of come full circle that he's now in a Spider-Man movie again. Or I guess for the first time.
Yes. Now I'm thinking about like replacing Tobey Maguire with him, and I don't know how that's just that's fucking.
Yeah, I mean you got to think that was like 15 years ago at this point. So.
Oh, I know. It's fucking with my brain because I'm thinking like Day After Tomorrow, Jake Gyllenhaal is, and I'm like
in an alternate universe, that's probably happened.
Well,
and then we're getting Tobey Maguire as Mysterio in this movie.
See, now that's a definite doesn't fucking work. Like, Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio or Spider-Man back in the day would work. Tobey Maguire as Mysterio? No fucking way.
Oh, is anyone else really excited that the Mysterio costume actually came with the fishbowl? Like, they gave him the fishbowl head?
Yes. They didn't back down from it. We're not getting
that's
a
fucking
Paul Giamatti rhino suit.
Yeah, they cast someone as, with Jake Gyllenhaal in that role, and you think, oh, okay, well, they got to let the star be seen. Let's not give him a helmet because you want to see his face the whole time. But no, they put him in the fishbowl, so it's pretty fucking cool.
Yes. That is, that's the iconic part of the character. Like, otherwise he would just be a dude in a suit, and you'd have to be told he was Mysterio, and like, who the fuck wants that?
Well, at the same time, like, if they gave him a helmet, I wasn't sure if they'd try to, like, modernize it somehow and just not make it look like a fishbowl.
It better look like a fishbowl and have the full misty smoke in it the whole time.
I mean, from the quick shot of the trailer, that is what it looks like.
Yeah, that it is, and that's what I want it to be, which
yeah.
I think Marvel's done a good job embracing that quite a bit.
Yes.
As opposed to taking the what the fuck role that Sam Raimi did with Green Goblin or some other movies that have tried to turn things more realistic for no
like
damn
X-Men
reason.
and their uniforms and shit.
Yeah, like they I don't know if it was a Hugh Jackman thing that he just refused to ever put on an actual comics worthy Wolverine costume of any sort with a mask and like full on like fucking go for it. But that's what we want. That's what we want to see. And so when they're going to do it with Mysterio, who's one of the more ridiculous looking but cool at the same time, like it's hard to do for a movie and have it work. And they're going to do it anyways because it's a fucking cool design, even if it's ridiculous. That's important.
That makes me excited. Last thing I'm going to say is the end tagline for that trailer with Flash talking about like how he adores Spider-Man and so awesome, dope suit and all this stuff, and then he sees Peter and is like, "What up, Dick?" I loved it. That was such a good joke.
I really, really hope we get him as an actual villain at some point, the way you usually do with Flash.
See, I think more modern takes on Flash, though, he's not that big of a dick. Like, he's kind of a dick to Peter. But, well, especially because they did, like, the whole Agent Venom stuff with him and that kind of thing. That he's been played more for a hero than the villain.
True. Lately.
I mean, I don't see the guy they cast as Flash to become Agent Venom. That just
doesn't
fit for me.
No, he's not going to be Agent Venom.
Like, you need the football jock Flash to be
Joe Manganiello.
Agent. Yeah, he would have been.
That would have been
Venom.
amazing. I still want to see that movie.
Yeah,
they can retcon back to that, and I'll be fine with it.
Anything else to add on the trailer from you guys? Or we'll move.
I want to see if Happy hooks up with.
Oh yeah.
yeah. I totally want to see the movie because I want to see how that works.
Yeah, that was something I was not anticipating them to do. Like, I never would have guessed they'd go that route.
The look on Peter's face was awesome.
Yeah, it was priceless.
What just happened?
I mean, and those were some of the best jokes from the last movie with Stark making the jokes about her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see Aunt May's 10-year challenge on Twitter?
No.
That's the thing that's been going around. Is like you put up a picture from 10 years ago, and then so it was the picture of Sam Raimi's Aunt May, and then Marissa Tomei's Aunt May 10 years later. So I think she won the 10-year challenge.
Yeah.
Like if you had to pick a winner, I think that's the one.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's things I'm thinking that are really bad. Like, is that lady even still alive? So I think, Marissa Tomei definitely won. But
yeah, I can't.
I don't want to.
Forgive me. I don't know that actress's name, so I can't. Without looking it up, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, it's all good. It just,
But the other thing too, I guess, is they sort of quickly acknowledge in the trailer how Aunt May is taking the news that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, because we get that tagline at the end of Homecoming where you don't know how she's going to react, but it seems like everybody's cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if he's, I don't know, I guess if the time travel thing is going on, maybe she doesn't know that he survives Infinity War, but I mean, I guess we'll see. I mean, it looks like, she's going to be okay with it, but I mean, what else is she going to do? Tell him, like, no.
Well, that's that's an interesting. It's an interesting thing to do because all the other
no more Spider-Man movies.
I mean, because the other ones they always like try to hold that back, like Aunt May figuring out that he's Spider-Man and trying to keep it a secret, and how's she going to react when she knows? So it's like they just get that out of the way and be like, you know what, she's fine with it. She supports his decision being a superhero, and let's go with it. It's a different dynamic, I think, to put on in a movie for them. So I'm curious to see where that goes.
All I can think about now is the video game, and I can't right now. I just can't. So
you can't go through that emotional roller coaster again.
No, you're just like, it's the same thing you're talking about, and I can't do it right now.
Is it the PS4 one?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's.
I think I've said it before. That the end of that game made me cry. It is an emotional gut punch at the end of that game.
Completely unexpected too. Like, it's not like none of the rest of the game really hits you that way emotionally. Like, there's moments that you're like, oh my god, yes, that was awesome. And it does that quite a bit. But not emotionally heavy like it is at the end. And then the end gets emotionally heavy really quick, and it comes out of nowhere. And it was, I can't.
As much as we talk about this game, I think after Romano finally finishes it, we might have to try to just sit down and do like a massive review episode of that game, because it's so fucking good.
I agree. I'm in. Andy, go play it so you can be into it.
Oh, what the crap.
There's your homework. Buy Spider-Man on PS4. Beat the game before we decide to do this. And then come back.
That's asking a lot, man.
I know.
Romano's slow. It'll be a while.
Yeah, if you jump in and just play through it, I think you'd still probably beat Romano to the end. All right, anything? One last call for Far From Home trailer. Anything else? Nothing? All right, moving on. Next up, I have Batfleck news. So I was reluctant to put this headline in here because I wanted something a little more concrete when we were talking about this, but it seems like Ben Affleck is done with Batman. Deadline posted an article that says Matt Reeves' upcoming Batman movie would release in 2021, and that they heard Affleck was stepping down and Reeves would be looking to recast with a younger actor. The article itself is basically just a rumor, but it seemed like it was getting more credibility when Affleck himself retweeted that specific article and said he looks forward to Matt Reeves' vision for the movie. So looking at that, the article itself, again, I thought was just a rumor. I didn't think it was worth really bringing up because we've been hearing he's out for, 6 months, and we've never heard anything official.
Right.
But the fact that he is commenting on the rumor seems to lend a little bit more credibility. And then, of course, once he did that, everybody was picking it up and saying, Ben Affleck's done. Here's all the actors that should replace him, and blah, 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 blah. So seems like everybody's going with it. So what do you guys think? Do you think Affleck is officially done with Batman?
Yes.
You don't think there's any way he's still attached?
I mean, if you throw enough money at anything, he'll do it, I'm sure. But at this point, I don't think they know what the hell they want to do with I don't know who coined it, but I think Kevin Smith may have coined it the Snyderverse. As opposed to, because I don't think they know what the hell's going on. Because at the same time I saw this, I saw like them posting a Margot Robbie picture as Harley Quinn in the Birds of Prey thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they're going forward with this, but not with this. They're going to recast into these roles in the same universe, and they're going to do this. Henry Cavill's evidently out. Now Batman's going to be out, so are we just going to ignore their existence, or are we going to recast them, or what's going to happen? And now it seems that they're going to recast for this Batman movie. I mean, we may as well just play Jenga and see how it goes. Just put these characters and actors and movies on Jenga blocks and see what comes of it after the game's over and everything falls. See where everything lies and just go with it there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess at this point, whatever you call it, Snyderverse, DCEU, their DC's interconnected movie universe is effectively dead. They're not caring about keeping people in these movies. They're not caring about connecting these movies with any type of continuity. And yeah, they, like Mike said, they don't really give a shit. They're just throwing stuff at a wall now.
Which saddens me because they finally get like a really good one in Aquaman. Like, to me, Aquaman's the best they've come out with yet. And you get this really good one out there with a director that's not named Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
Wait, Aquaman was better than Wonder Woman?
My opinion.
Yeah, I was going to say, his opinion. I do not share that opinion, but...
Aquaman, to me, would be a middle-of-the-pack Marvel movie. Upper middle of the pack. Personally. But this isn't an Aquaman review. This is me saying, even just generally accepted, Aquaman's pretty damn good. And they have this. And they had something that caught a spark with audiences, whether or not you want to rate it good, bad, whatever. That movie's still making bank. And It's going to keep making money, and it's making a shitload. And you have this happening now, and the sad part is that you have it happening at a moment when the rest of what they created is just in shambles.
Yeah.
And it's all confusing and mixed up, and so if that's what their future has to be, is it doesn't make sense, but it's fun to watch for the first time, I'm all for it. Sure, just fuck it up for another 10 years before you do another reboot, and maybe try to get it right next time.
Yeah. Andy, I want you to chime in too. What do you think Affleck's officially done? You think we'll hear that somehow he's still involved with the Batman solo movie, or?
I think he's done.
Okay.
I think he's done, and I think we're going to be better for it. Not that he was a bad Batman, but if you think of all the Batman, George Clooney aside, he was the most forgettable. Just the movies didn't do well, you know? I still haven't seen fucking Justice League.
Really?
Yeah, still haven't seen it. Just no desire to. So, I mean, I was like one of the, like, Batman v Superman wasn't like a terrible movie. I think I was kind of like, you know, it wasn't as bad as what people were saying, but it's mostly forgettable, you know?
Yeah.
All I'll say is
when things started getting all fucked up too, so.
Well, yeah, that's when things got fucked up.
And, you know, he did a lot of work to be Batman. I mean, dude had a really strict workout regimen and everything, but
he bulked up for sure.
Yeah. And like some of the fight scenes are really badass, and you know, I think they could have done well with him, but you know, I think it's time to move on, and I think the DC universe and viewers, us in general, are going to be better for it. Hopefully,
they still haven't not cast Nicolas Cage to be the next Batman. Let's just put that out there.
He sort of already had that role though in Kick-Ass.
And it worked.
Yeah,
I love that movie.
Yeah.
What I'll say about Batfleck in general, as a reflection, is a Batflection, maybe? I don't know.
You're reaching. You're reaching.
I'm reaching. It was not as bad as I thought it was going to be when it was announced. When they actually announced that they casted Ben Affleck to be Batman, I'm like, couldn't have just cast him to write it. You actually cast him to be in it, which... fuck. Okay. And I was not... I felt like it was going to be much more of a train wreck than it was. His role as Batman, I don't feel is what ruined those movies.
No. It was everything else.
Yeah.
And he could have been a really excellent Batman given the story, director, continuity, anything else.
Given a Batman movie. A movie, you know, like... about
just strictly Batman,
yeah.
Well, that's actually Josh is the one who sent this article my way on Facebook. He posted it to the Facebook page, and the one thing he said was that he's still a little bit sad that we won't be able to get to see a Batman movie written and directed by Affleck,
who's a good writer and a good director,
right?
I mean,
exactly.
He's
so
some good movies.
I don't know if that was part of his deal of like, okay, you're going to be Batman, but somewhere in there he might have worked it out that he would be one to make a Batman movie himself about the character he's playing. Which, if the rumors are to be believed, that's where Joe Manganiello's Deathstroke was going to come into play.
Mm-hmm.
Which we get teased in Justice League, which we're probably never going to see again.
No, we're not. Yeah, and I mean, even at that, we could have got Kevin Smith. Even if it wasn't going to be Ben Affleck, we could have gotten Kevin Smith. Who, I mean, if you've ever read The Widening Gyre or Cacophony, they are fantastic Batman stories. And that's from the mind of Kevin Smith, and I think that it would have been great, given that connection, to see them get to work a Batman movie and watch what people, you know, even if Ben Affleck isn't my first choice as Bruce Wayne, he's a big fan. You know, like they are legitimate fans of this stuff that would have been writing and directing.
Yeah.
Doing that, working together, that would have been amazing.
Sad thing is, I don't think Affleck and Kevin Smith talk too much anymore, so I don't know if that would have worked out that way.
I'm guessing there was a falling out or something?
I don't think they had a falling out, but like I think they were, just from listening to Kevin Smith's podcast and stuff like that, he talks like him and Ben haven't really kept in touch.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was before he was cast as Batman. So I think it's just Ben's growing stardom and stuff like that. They've just lost touch.
Yeah, I think that was part of it. And I mean, but nonetheless, Kevin Smith was kind of like campaigning pretty hard for a short time there to get involved with the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a while ago. He gave up pretty quickly when it was like, oh, Zack Snyder's going to do it, and it's going to be Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
And then somebody realized this isn't working. But yeah, it would have been great to see what they could have done, though, coming from legitimate fans.
Right. Yeah. And I'm with you guys. I don't think Affleck did a bad job as Batman. I thought he actually did pretty good. And I don't know if it's like, I feel like it's going to be fun if we go back and watch like Man of Steel, BVS, Justice League in like 10, 15 years time. Just between the movies that are going to come out between now and then, DC movies, and then go back and watch them and see if we have a better appreciation for what Snyder tried to do with those movies. I think they might have been ahead of their time.
Man of Steel.
Yeah, okay. So even still, yeah, I think, they might have come out like ahead of their time, and in the bulk of when Marvel was doing a certain thing, and everyone expected superhero movies to look like a Marvel movie.
I never had a problem with Man of Steel. I think the problem with Zack Snyder is that he has no sense of humor, seemingly. And that's when you're going to make a movie that is really dark, you still have to have a good ironic sense of humor in it, a dark sense of humor, something. There has to be a break in that tension.
Yeah.
And the tension has to be better than it was. And I think like that was part of, I think the thing is like, it's such a dark tone that they take, and then the dark tone itself isn't a success as a dark tone.
Yeah.
And
I mean, Justice League tried to lighten it up, but some of those jokes, it's like 50-50 if those jokes land.
True,
some
but Justice
bad.
League was still better than the rest, in my opinion.
That's fair.
I loved Ezra Miller as Flash. I know you have your thing for the guy from the TV show, but
yeah, I got a man crush on Grant Gustin,
right,
for the Flash TV show.
But I'm Ezra Miller. I thought was great, and I feel like they had something there that would have worked. But again,
technically, a Flash movie is still happening. Like, he's still attached to a Flash movie that is somewhere in development.
Okay.
So it's funny that like the two people they cast first, Henry Cavill's Superman and Ben Affleck's Batman, are the first two to go.
Well,
like Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman's still hanging on. Jason Momoa's Aquaman obviously is probably going to get a sequel after the big success that Aquaman was. Edward Miller is still attached to the Flash somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
But again, I think that's more they're making this up as they go. They don't have a clear-cut plan for any of these movies or characters. So the release dates keep changing, who's attached to these movies keep changing. The Flash movie has gone through like 3 or 4 directors already.
Is it really happening? Come on now.
They keep saying it's on the schedule. They keep delaying the release date based on director changes, but if you ask them if it's happening, yes, it's still in development.
I could easily see that ending up going the other way. Like,
especially because I feel like Ezra Miller's busy, so you got to find time for him in his schedule to make a Flash movie.
Yeah, there's
especially
that.
Being attached to all these Harry Potter movies.
Yep. And he's in demand, too, because he's a popular actor right now.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, we'll just have to wait and see, I guess, what happens with this. We'll definitely talk about this again if they ever announce any type of casting for this movie, because I am curious to see if Affleck is done, what younger actor they choose to pick up the mantle as Batman.
I could go a whole podcast on people I would want to cast as Batman. Fan casting is a lot of fun.
We can maybe revisit that then. I didn't want to spring that on you guys now because I sort of just added this today, so I didn't want to, put you on the spot. I'd rather you guys have time to think of suggestions for a Batman casting, but so maybe we can revisit that later. Andy, you said you like Man of Steel and you like BVS, right?
Yeah.
So now, actually, I think you probably should watch Justice League. I think you might actually like it if you like the other two.
I'd like to see it. I tried to get lost my train of thought. Never mind. Yeah, it's on my list to watch.
Okay. I don't want to know how big that list is. I feel like we talk about that list all the time.
Fucking huge, man.
But yeah, I think if you decide to watch Justice League, you have to let us know what you think.
Okay.
I'm curious if it turns you off or if you like it. But I feel like just judging from your reaction for the other two, I think you'd actually like Justice League. So you have to report back. I'll give you your homework assignment at the end of the episode, and we'll go see how it goes from there. Anything else for Batfleck? We'll move on to the next one. Nothing? Alrighty. So we've talked before about Disney's pending acquisition of Fox, which includes the X-Men franchise. So Fox already has a few X-Men movies in development that are set to release this year. Dark Phoenix, which has already been delayed twice, is now set to release this June. The other X-Men movie in development is New Mutants, which was originally set to release in April of 2018, then delayed to February of 2019. Currently is set to release in August of this year, but now there's rumors they're saying this movie is going to get delayed again and might either end up in October or November, as Josh Boone, the director, and Fox are having issues agreeing on a final cut of the film. But not only is a release date delay possible, it seems that Fox is thinking about releasing this movie on Hulu, and it might not even get a theatrical release.
Ouch.
So we were told by Disney when they purchased Fox that, it would be business as usual. Upcoming movies would be fine. They're not going to get delayed or canceled or anything like this, but this does not sound good.
Is it even official yet?
As far as the
legally,
deal?
Yeah.
Last I heard, earlier in the week, I think, was that the deal should be finalized in June.
Okay.
So I don't know. Mike, I know you've been looking forward to New Mutants.
I have.
What do you think about this news?
So first, let me say there's a few things that got me excited for New Mutants when they first put out a trailer. There was a trailer for this. This is well over a year ago that the first trailer for this movie was released. And that's back when it was supposed to come out in April of last year.
Yeah.
That they released a trailer for it. And it looked awesome. They were putting together a New Mutants horror movie. They cast Maisie Williams to play Wolfsbane, which is fantastic fucking casting. She is incredible in everything she's done so far, which is pretty much just Game of Thrones, but she's fucking awesome on Game of Thrones.
She's really good in it, yeah.
And then they cast Anya Taylor-Joy to be Magic, which she's pretty damn good in everything she does. And she also happens to look identical to most of the drawings of Magic.
I don't know much about those characters, but I know what Magic looks like, and when I saw the trailer, I was like, yep, okay, that's exactly who that person's playing, because you're right, she does look exactly like that character.
Yeah, exactly. And she's, like I said, she is a pretty good actress from what we've seen so far, which hasn't been much. She hasn't been in a whole lot of movies yet, but what we've seen has been pretty good. She was good in Split, which is pretty much the only reference I have, come to think of it.
Oh, wait, is that the girl? I didn't realize that was the same girl.
Yes, that is the same girl. She's
the brunette in Split. She's blonde in New Mutants. I didn't put that together.
Yes, yeah, that's Anya Taylor-Joy. So they started with those two, and New Mutants is one of my favorite comics, like from back at the original run, which looked like they were going to stay close to something along those lines, with the nightmarish grizzly bear appearing briefly in the trailer, and there was even rumors that this was gonna get an R rating as a horror movie and a superhero movie, and it was just like, holy shit, this looks awesome. And then it gets delayed, and I get a little bit depressed because they pushed it back to November, and then it got delayed again, and it was supposed to come out. What was the date that it just got pushed off of?
So it was originally for April. It went to February, then pushed to... Currently, it's set for August.
Okay, so...
the rumors are it's going to get pushed from August. Right,
so it just keeps getting pushed back. And you know what? Honestly, I don't care where or when I see this movie at this point. I just want to see it. I think I don't know what the disagreement is. This movie seems like it's been done for a long time, and maybe... I just...
See, the part of the article that says, having issues agreeing on a final cut of the film, to me, means Josh Boone is pushing for a rated R horror film, and Fox is like, no, that's not going to sell. We want PG-13 something.
Right, and they don't realize that it would sell. And
yeah, I mean, Logan, Deadpool 2, like, what the fuck?
And this was being made right off the heels of Logan, so this was trying to capitalize on that rated R feel.
So yeah,
half the kids that are in the end of Logan are New Mutants. Like, it's like that's the other part of it too. You get these characters that, you know, at the end they're become part of the New Mutants team. Specifically, Richter at the end is the you guys probably don't remember it if you never really read much of the X-Force or New Mutants comics, but Richter is the one that can control the
earthquakes
and the seismic shit and causes like the ground to swell up, and he's the oldest one of the kids at the end of Logan.
I remember Richter, yeah.
So you had this start there, and then you had a lot of this going, and an R-rated horror movie with superheroes sounds like something fresh and new, which is what is needed. Like, we're inundated with so many of these movies that feel so similar, and we still enjoy them. But something new and fresh that still touches on a lot of the same notes would be incredible. To me.
Yeah.
And it's a psychological horror film. Like, I can tell you that just from knowing that they included the grizzly bear and all that and whatnot. It was going to be psychological horror. And maybe it has to do with the fact that, as strange as it is to say, that Wolfsbane's story can get quite sexual at times, and maybe that's the R-rated contingency that they're not happy about. And I don't know what you're saying ooh about Wolfsbane. What's ooh? Like
I said heyo.
Oh, heyo. I thought you said ooh. I was like, huh? Like ooh. But nonetheless, yeah, like Wolfsbane's story can go that route. Because I feel like for a really long time reading the comics, Wolfsbane was like pregnant and having pups. It's a weird fucking set of circumstances with Wolfsbane and her children / pups, because she's kind of a werewolf, and I don't know, it's fucking weird. But yeah, I recommend reading it because it's cool at the same time, but it's weird. That may be kind of the dispute is over just how friggin' weird New Mutants can get.
I don't know. Part of me keeps thinking, like, you know, Fox might be not realizing because it's been impending for a while, but with the deal with Disney, they know they're not going to get any more X-Men movies. It's going to go to Marvel Studios. They're going to make the X-Men movies after this acquisition. So it just might get to the point where Fox doesn't give a shit anymore about these X-Men movies. Yeah. And really, if they're smart, they'd go into the mentality with even Dark Phoenix and be like, listen, we are not going to make any more X-Men movies after this, so let's just go balls to the wall and kill a bunch of people, and like, who gives a shit if any of these characters survive this movie, because they're going to reboot them when we're done anyway.
Right?
So that would be a really fun mentality to have for something like Dark Phoenix or even New Mutants. Like, you don't know if anyone's going to survive these movies, because ultimately down the line in 5 years, they're going to all get rebooted anyway, so who cares what happens to these ones?
Which is part of what makes me sad, being the casting for Magic and Wolfsbane are so perfect that they're gonna.
That's fair. Yeah.
They're just gonna have to recast them again into that role. I would hope.
I mean, do you think we'll get a New Mutants movie under Disney?
Well, here's the thing. So, whether you know a lot about Magic or not, Magic is a huge part of the Marvel universe. She is Colossus's sister, which could bring her into something just off of that. And if we ever go down that road of Marvel having the X-Men, I bet you we'd get an X-Force movie. And New Mutants was kind of the predecessor to X-Force. It's actually starting in New Mutants 87 that X-Force begins to be formed. That's Cable's first appearance. Deadpool's first appearance is in New Mutants number 98. And this is when X-Force starts to come together, is at the end of the New Mutants, and then they just kind of ended at 100 and picked up again the same storyline with X-Force number 1.
Gotcha.
So I may not anticipate seeing a New Mutants movie, but I would anticipate seeing X-Force, which is much of the same cast, would be there.
Yeah.
If they chose, but X-Force has had many iterations and could go many directions. But I think the best way to say it is maybe. I could definitely see magic playing into it, especially with Doctor Strange being a big deal. Because she mostly deals with the Dark Dimension, with Limbo, with a lot of crossover with Doctor Strange. Her villains, the villains she fights off for the X-Men and whatnot, she teams with Doctor Strange quite a bit. And they are the same. Like, she's fought Dormammu many times. She's, Mephisto, Dormammu, a lot of the same people that Doctor Strange encounters. So does she. So,
yeah, at this point, we're just going to wait and see what they do with X-Men, because I can't see that being one of the first teams they do. Like, I think they'll probably start with the core X-Men group and maybe spin off from there. So maybe somewhere down the line, you'll start seeing X-Force or New Mutants after Marvel gets their hands on them. But, I mean, you're still probably looking 7 years out before
I really
we see
hope
something
it's
like
not
that.
that far, but yeah. Like, I hope
I'd
it's
be
not.
willing to bet that Feige has scripts already stored away and ready to go on X-Men.
But even still, like, you figure their release schedule, so they'd have to fit X-Men movies around all the other characters they've already sort of got plans for.
They need something to fill in for Guardians 3.
Which, I mean, that's still happening, so they're already probably shuffling that around with other release dates and stuff like that. But once the deal is official, assuming it goes through this coming June, I'd say 2 years at the earliest that we will see an X-Men movie.
I'm fine with 2 years. I'm not fine with 7, but I'm fine with 2.
Well, I'm not saying you're going to get your X-Force movie. I'm saying like a core X-Men movie.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you were
Core
saying
team.
7 years out for X-Force.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant just
Yeah.
for X-Men in general. I was saying, like, I hope not.
Yeah, I think 2 to 3 years after this acquisition is through that we see a core X-Men movie. And then they'd have to fit in any X-Men spin-offs in between all the other stuff that's happening. So that's probably another 2 or 3 years after the core X-Men movie.
Can we also make a note that part of it is also, like, they have a lot to fit in. Everybody's focused on X-Men a lot because of the movies out there.
Yeah.
They also have Fantastic Four to work in now, too.
Yes.
And, fitting all this new stuff in to the existing universe, I think, has to happen slow.
Because they're going to have to fit around Black Panther 2, a Black Widow movie that's supposedly in development, Doctor Strange 2, probably a Spider-Man 3, Captain Marvel 2. Like, all this stuff is going to happen.
A bunch of stuff we don't know.
Yeah.
Like, is there going to be an Iron Man 4 surprise movie, or Cap 4, or Thor 4? We don't know.
Thor 4.
Thor 4. So, right, I think there's a lot of world building left to do, and I think this actually lines up very well for them, having the Fantastic Four and the X-Men to bring in when they're coming to a close of their first run here.
Yeah.
Then they can expand more and have lots of new characters to make it that are significantly popular with or without these movies.
Yeah, I agree. Andy, I want to get you in here. Any thoughts for New Mutants? Do you follow any of that stuff? Did you see the trailer that's a year old?
I remember seeing the trailer. We talked about it like 2 years ago or some kind of shit.
It was a while ago, yeah.
It looked interesting to me then. I'm kind of envisioning it being stuck in some sort of weird movie post-production limbo because
development
of the deal.
hell.
Yeah, because of the deal. So I'd like to see it, but I don't know if we will.
So you think it's more likely it will get a Hulu release or a theatrical release?
Hulu. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, it is possible. They just cut the production budget off. Said we're not giving you any more money.
Well, the other thing, too, is by the time, depending on when this comes out, if this was due in August and they delay it to October, November, that's technically after this deal with Disney would go through. So the X-Men would basically be Disney's at that point. When this goes through, Hulu is owned in thirds. NBC has a third, ABC Disney has a third, and Fox has a third. So when the deal goes through, Disney owns 66% of Hulu. So that would make sense for them to put it on their own, basically their own platform.
Yeah.
If it's just a throwaway movie where they don't know what to do with it, they would put it on a Disney-owned platform.
Would we have the Disney streaming service at that point?
No. Well, actually, it might be close to that, because I guess fall of 2019, I think, is when they said that the Disney streaming service starts.
Yeah.
But at the same time, a lot of what we've heard for the Disney streaming service is it's going to be kid and family friendly. I don't think anything over PG-13 would be released on that service. So if they are going for an R-rated New Mutants cut, the majority-owned Hulu by Disney might be the way to put it out there. So you're getting it out on a technically Disney service, but it's more adult fare.
There's no parents bitching that their child accidentally watched it on the Disney streaming service.
Right.
Everything here's supposed to be safe for my child, and this wasn't. Well.
So, yeah, I mean, I feel like all that stuff lines up. I think Hulu is a safe bet for this.
I'd agree. Makes
Would
me
I
sad.
like to see it on? Yeah, I'd like to see it on the big screen, but
I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll do both. Like, just a limited theatrical run for like 2 weeks or something, but it's also released on Hulu right around the same time. Because there are some movies that have done that. And obviously this movie has not been marketed very well. If we sort of, not that you guys forgot about it, but I think a lot of people did since the trailer came out so long ago. I think a lot of people thought this movie was probably dead. So it'll be interesting to see if the marketing for this ramps up by the end of the year. And we'll have to keep an eye on where it ends up. Just to at least inform any interested parties. Anything else for this one?
Tear.
All right, moving on to another franchise. If you've listened to our favorite movies of 2018 podcast, I think you'll know that Mission Impossible Fallout hits a lot of our lists from the last year. This franchise has really hit its stride. Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, which technically is Mission Impossible 5, had longtime Tom Cruise collaborator Chris McQuarrie write and direct that movie. Every other Mission Impossible movie up through 5 has been directed by a different director. That was Tom Cruise's thing. He wanted to switch it up every movie. Well, he must have thought Rogue Nation worked really well because he got McQuarrie to come back to write and direct Fallout, which was the last one that came out, Mission Impossible 6. McQuarrie, if you listen to him talk about that movie, tried to make it seem like it was a different director. He went in with a different style. He hired an entirely new crew, so he was not working with anyone that was the same on Rogue Nation. It was completely different people for Fallout to try to keep that template going. And those two movies have made a shit ton of money. So I guess given the success of those, I know McQuarrie has been constantly asked if he will be back to finish his Mission Impossible trilogy, to come back and write and direct Mission Impossible 7. McQuarrie confirmed himself on Twitter that he will be back for Mission Impossible 7 and also Mission Impossible 8.
Whoa, slow down, buddy. Slow down.
Very simple tweet. He said missions, plural, accepted. And then news broke that he will be back for 7 and 8. They will shoot back-to-back and will release 2021 and 2022. They are planning release dates around the Top Gun sequel.
Ah, okay. That makes sense.
And I think they're trying to get Tom Cruise to do all these stunts before he gets too old. So, because he's getting up there in age. I mean, he can still do it if you've watched Fallout. Holy shit, could he still do it? But
there's going to be a point where he starts breaking his hip.
Yeah, it's a ticking clock at this point, I think. But so I think they might feel a little bit safer if they're shooting them back to back. But considering I wasn't sure if he was going to come back for 7, to see him signed on for 7 and 8, like they must have something really cool, some big idea that they want to do with that, and that makes me really excited. So I don't know how you guys feel. Are you guys excited about this news?
I'm not sure I saw 6.
6 was Fallout. That was the most recent one that came out this year.
Yep,
last year.
Didn't see it. Heard it was
highly recommended.
Oh my
Yes.
god! Everyone that has seen the movie is like, "Holy fucking shit! How have you not fucking seen this movie?" So,
have you seen all the other ones up until that point?
I'm fuzzy on 3 and 4.
Ghost Protocol was 4, and Ghost Protocol was good. 3 was okay.
See, I'm a supporter of 3. I
Was
really
3
really enjoyed 3.
Philip Seymour Hoffman?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I did see 3.
Okay.
What was 2?
2 was the John Woo one
2 was not good.
with the Limp Bizkit theme song and everything.
Oh yeah, I saw that one too.
I actually
what was-
own all of them, but 2 and 3 are hard to watch for me.
What? And then 4 was what?
Ghost Protocol. That's when Jeremy Renner came in.
Oh, okay.
So you saw that one?
Maybe.
You just saw the
So
trailer.
it's
for
the
that
one where he's on the building in Dubai, and he's climbing it with like the gloves.
Suction cups.
Yeah.
I saw that one. And 5.
Rogue Nation was Jeremy Renner was in that one again.
Yeah, Jeremy Renner was back.
Alec Baldwin's in that one.
Yeah.
And he was in some sort of courtroom.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I may have seen that one. Is that the one where Tom Cruise is like going around in like this weird water vortex safe thing?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep,
Yes.
saw that one.
That was an
All right,
awesome
so you
scene.
are caught up, except
that
for the last one.
Michael Nyqvist is in there, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I
Holy
think
shit, I think I
Brian's
have seen
looking
him.
like Michael Nyqvist. Like, who is Michael Nyqvist? I think
I know the name didn't immediately jump out to me.
he was from the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo movies that were the Swedish versions.
The Swedish versions, yeah.
Kind of where he got his...
So who does he
name.
play in Mission Impossible? Who is he?
The bad guy.
No, he's... Well, no. He's not...
The Prime Minister. Is that who we're talking about?
No. Yeah, the Prime Minister's that little dude with the curly hair.
Yeah.
No. Michael Nyqvist plays the guy that actually robs the Kremlin.
Okay. That's good. Wait, that's Ghost Protocol. That's 4. Yes.
Okay, then he was in Ghost Protocol, because that's him. He's the one that steals the thing they go in for and outwits them there.
Yeah.
Michael Nyqvist was also in John Wick.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Now that I know what he looks like, yes, I can place him on other things.
Yeah.
All right, Andy. So you're pretty, considering you are normally far behind on movies. You only got 1 to catch up to for this, so that's pretty good.
I'm actually like kind of cheesing a little bit. That's pretty awesome.
It's definitely whatever you got to do to get there, and you'll love it. There's no way not to like that movie. Like you have to be, I don't know, the least
blind.
Yeah, like blind, emotionless, boring. You have to be one of those people. What are they called? That just hate everything.
Pessimists.
No, pessimists just see the downside and like the negativity, and
That's fair. I don't know what word you're looking for. I can't place it.
Well,
I wanted to confirm. I'm looking at the list. We all the 4 of us that were on the top movies of 2018. All of us had Mission Impossible Fallout in our top 10.
mm-hmm.
How high did it go?
Right.
It made it as high as number 2 on someone's list.
Who does number 2 work for?
In this case, he works for Josh.
Yeah. Surprisingly, I was surprised that made Josh's 2. I would not have anticipated that. If you told me afterwards it made somebody's 2, I would have said it was you. But
Yes, it was high on my list. I don't think it didn't crack. Did it top the crack 5? Crack the top 5. Top the crack 5. It did crack my top 5. Yes, it was 4 for me.
Yeah. I think it was number 9 on mine. So,
Yeah, I think it was the lowest on your list.
Well, I made a point of saying at the beginning my top 5 was a coin flip, and yeah.
So yeah, there's another homework assignment for you, Andy. Fallout. Check it out.
Fallout the game?
I
played
Don't.
Fallout 4. That's pretty good.
You could
Don't
you could
play
do that,
the new
but
one.
Oh, I refuse to play Fallout 76 because of my horrible interactions with Sea of Thieves. So no, fuck that.
I read there is so many bugs and glitches in it that it's bad even by Bethesda's
Yeah,
standards.
and I heard that they just had an update that fucked things up even worse. So,
not to get like sidetracked or anything, but Andy, have you played Sea of Thieves since your
no,
Twitter
fuck,
rant?
no. And I've wanted to too. I'd be like, oh, wouldn't it be great? No, because fuckers are gonna chase me around for a goddamn hour in my fucking ship, and I won't be able to fucking do what I want to do because they're fucking chasing me. And then the shark will eat me, and then they'll blow up my ship, and fuck.
That does not sound fun at all.
No, it's horrible.
Again, we need the segment. Andy reviews video games. It'd be great. But yeah, so anything for Mission Impossible 7 and 8? I'm really excited about this. I think McQuarrie is a very good director. At the very least, I think I said this when we talked about the movies on the top 10 of 2018, but he gives really good insight to how movies are made, and he's done some really, really long fucking podcast interviews that if you're curious, they are like 3 hours long, where he just talks about how they got ideas for things, how they created certain sequences, the logistics that go into all that stuff. It's really interesting to hear about that stuff, because it seems like they'll at least, especially for Rogue Nation and Fallout, that he's basically flying by the seat of his pants and kind of making this up as he goes. So the fact that these movies are so fucking good is amazing to me.
Well, last thing I would say about it is I'm probably going to watch Fallout again tonight after the podcast.
I actually have plans to watch it tomorrow with a few friends that have not seen it yet, so I am looking forward to that. So, Andy, if you want to come by and join in, we'll be at my place.
It's on DVD already, I think.
Yeah. Yep. Give it a rent. Yeah, so I think just because I've been excited for this franchise, and the fact that it made it high enough on everybody's 2018 list, I was like, well, this is good enough news, I think, to bring up to keep people in the loop for what's going on with this one. I'm a little surprised they're shooting it back to back, but I guess, yeah, that makes sense to just capitalize on the, since it's really popular right now and it's still definitely making, it's almost like the Fast and Furious franchise, where it's like the more they make, the more money the franchise makes, which is weird, but
yeah.
Like, back when 2 came out, I wouldn't have pegged this as the franchise that's going to keep going for 8 movies. But hey, more power to them. They're fucking great. All right. We'll move on to the next one. So this is a topic that I mentioned at the top of the show that, the one headline that got me so excited that I'm already counting down until next summer. I feel like this kind of came out of the blue. There's a headline from Entertainment Weekly that caught my attention. Apparently, Sony is moving forward with another Ghostbusters movie. So not only that, but the movie is going to be directed by Jason Reitman, he is the son of original director Ivan Reitman. Jason Reitman is also listed as the co-screenwriter with, I don't know how to say this guy's name, Gil Kenan, who directed the animated movie Monster House and directed the Poltergeist remake. Jason is quoted as saying, "This is the next chapter in the original franchise. It is not a reboot. What happened in the 80s happened in the 80s. This is set in present day," which means this is essentially Ghostbusters 3.
Yes.
None of the original cast have been confirmed to come back, although I imagine everyone probably will come back. The only question mark is Bill Murray. It is also said the movie will be passing the torch in Reitman's story. They are looking to cast 4 teenage actors, 2 boys, 2 girls. And probably what is the biggest surprise in this story, is aside from the fact that we're getting a movie, is that there's already a freaking official teaser trailer for it, and it's set to release next summer. It is coming out 2020 in the summer, a year and a half away. Like the fact that this seems to be happening this quickly fucking blew my mind. But so Andy, we'll throw it off to you first. What do you think about all this?
I'm excited as hell because I feel like I didn't really care for the most recent Ghostbusters movie.
That's right. Much. You and I and Steph did the review for that. That's right.
Yeah, it had its moments, and I like most of the people that were in it and whatnot, but it just felt like more of an SNL thing than it did a Ghostbusters thing.
Yeah.
I'm really pumped. They even had the freaking music in the teaser trailer.
Yes,
and I was like,
that trailer hit like every nostalgic note that you want from a Ghostbusters movie.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
It looked creepy. It used the original score. There's the original sound effects. There's a little bit of the original like clear slime in there, and it's the OG Ecto-1 under the tarp.
Yeah,
like it checked all those boxes.
Yep. I don't know. I'm pumped, and the fact that Ivan Reitman's son is the one. I think he's got to be one of the ones that's gonna be as true to what his dad did, right?
From what I read, he spent a lot of his childhood on the sets for those movies. Like, with his dad, on the set while they were filming those movies. He was there the whole time, and so...
I was going to throw this up as a trivia question, but if you're reading that part of the article, you might know the answer already, Mike. Jason Reitman is in Ghostbusters 2.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know his cameo in that movie?
I did read that part. I will let Andy.
Andy, do you know the answer to that trivia question?
No.
It has to do with the birthday party at the beginning of Ghostbusters 2.
Is he the one that tells him to, like...
That his dad says they're full of crap?
Yeah.
That is Jason Reitman.
Okay. That's awesome.
So that's even more fun, that he's been in the movie, and now he's going to direct one.
Mm-hmm.
Does he have directing credits?
Yes, he's done a lot of indie stuff. So this might be his first big movie. I want to double check his directing credits because I feel like he might do more than I think. So go ahead and while I look this up,
I feel like
I'll jump in.
For me, the biggest thing is, I don't know how I feel about them wanting to hand the torch. I know why they're going that route, but I personally would have preferred a conclusion to their storyline, to the story of, Ray and Peter and Winston. Obviously, we're not getting... Well, I mean, we would get a conclusion to Egon's story in this, but not the conclusion we would want. That's one of the things about it that makes me nervous, is I don't necessarily know that I want the torch handed off. Just the same that made me nervous ahead of the other Ghostbusters reboot, whatever that was. I didn't feel like anybody else should touch it and be the Ghostbusters. Makes me nervous. We'll see how they do, who they cast, how it goes. I'm open-minded, so we'll see. The other thing for me that's really big is everybody, if we're being honest about this, Dan Aykroyd is going to do this 100%. He's been campaigning for this for years. And
so can I sidetrack you real quick?
Sure.
There was articles a couple months ago that I'd seen sort of get around the internet, but nobody made a big deal about it because Dan Aykroyd talks about another Ghostbusters movie. He's been talking about that for years. But he's basically said, yeah, I'm in another Ghostbusters movie. We're making another one. But this was months ago. No one thought anything of it because Dan Aykroyd talks up these Ghostbusters movies for so long, but he was probably referring to this movie. But everyone just played it off like, oh, Aykroyd's talking about Ghostbusters again. Just let him ramble on about it.
Right, and I think you and I talked about it then. I believe we talked about it briefly when it came up, when he said that then. And we kind of said, it would be cool, but Bill Murray's not going to do it. He always says that, and yet here's Dan Aykroyd saying this, and we're like, okay. So maybe they've been working on this longer than they're leading on. But
considering it's a year and a half away, they had to have.
Yeah. So, to me, like I was saying, Dan Aykroyd, not going to be hard. He's definitely going to do this. Ernie Hudson, throw him a ham sandwich. He will jump at the chance. What else has the guy got going on?
Pretty sure he's already been on Twitter saying, yep, I'm ready for the call.
Right, exactly. He's going to answer that call. And I'm sure Annie Potts and Rick Moranis will absolutely hop right into it. And
yeah,
be
Rick
all
Moranis
about it.
just recently unretired, right?
Yeah.
Oh, did he? I thought he was still retired, so I wasn't sure if they'd be able to get him. But if he is unretired,
I thought he was doing some like bit roles in a TV show, but I can't remember what TV show it was.
Okay.
And I think he would just do it for that, for this, and then go right back, even if that was going to be the case. I feel like he would hop at it and be like...
Especially if they kept him as a Ghostbuster.
Yes. Exactly.
Right? Because he is at the end of 2.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then to me, there's the big question. If they get Bill Murray, can they get Sigourney Weaver to do it? Because one way or another, everything that goes on in these movies happens to Dana. And I feel like that, to me, would be something that I want to see in the third one, is that something happens to her again. And whatever that might be, have her be the center of it yet again. Because that's like the way it goes. And I think that would be cool. And I think the tension and the back and forth between Sigourney Weaver and Bill Murray on screen is something that we really haven't seen since.
Yeah. One thing I remember Sigourney Weaver talking about when they were talking about, I feel like, a Ghostbusters 3 before the reboot talk and stuff, they were just talking about another Ghostbusters movie. I feel like she'd always talked about, well, the logical next step for a Ghostbusters movie would be to have her son, Oscar, be a Ghostbuster.
I like it.
Which, and especially to your point, if all this shit keeps happening to Dana, to have her son be a Ghostbuster that then has to save his mother, there's a story right there.
You should write these movies. Yeah, like, honestly, Oscar better be in this movie. We don't have to have the baby that was Oscar be in the movie, but Oscar, the character, had better damn well be in this movie. His mother better be in the movie. Peter better be in the movie.
Because assuming where Ghostbusters 2 left off, where Pete Venkman and Dana Barrett get together and help raise Oscar, Oscar would be around that Ghostbusters stuff since he was little, so he would logically become part of the team.
I was going to say, he could be the replacement for Egon in all the years in between. Once he became an adult, Egon died, taught him, and this kid's grown up learning all this stuff, so he'd be just as sciencey and nerdy into it as Egon was, because he'd have a full childhood worth of learning about it where you soak up the most of everything.
Yeah, so depending on how you want to paint that character, yeah, he could fit any of those roles.
And let's not forget that he'd be like 30 at this time.
Yeah. So I guess if they're actually looking for teenage actors that want to be part of the team, maybe Oscar wouldn't be part of the team, like the core 4, but he could be there helping the team.
Maybe he would be the member of the core 4 that is there, but isn't one of the teens that they're passing the torch to. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's so many questions and variables here, and I don't know why they're looking for teens to pass the torch to.
Well, I think Sony's looking for a franchise. If this works, you have a younger cast of characters that can carry this franchise forward for 10, 15 years.
Yeah, but I mean, you have that if you have somebody that's in their 30s too.
I feel like not the way people see that. Unless they want unknown actors. That could be another reason why they're going. Like, you bring back the core original guys as your star power.
Yeah.
And you bring in a whole new cast of characters that you hopefully people fall in love with, and then they continue that it's like Star Wars, casting Rey, Finn, Poe. These are new characters that no one knew. I mean, maybe some of the like Oscar Isaac, I guess, was up and coming at that point.
Yeah, people knew him, but not the other two.
Yeah.
And not really Adam Driver either.
Right. So people really attach to those characters. Now they want to see where they go. That's I think their game plan for this movie and whoever fills those roles.
Well, I mean, Bill Murray and Sigourney Weaver signed on for that trash can fire of a movie, a couple of years ago, so I can't imagine they wouldn't sign on for this one.
Yeah, the difference being those were only cameos.
Yeah. But maybe they want to right the ship now,
I would hope they care that much about it that they want to be part of it.
I mean, they were probably in the movie watching it going, like in the theater watching it going like, what the fuck? Why, son of a, jeez.
So I looked this up. We're going to come back to it now. Director credits for Jason Reitman. Thank You for Smoking.
Oh.
Was his first full-length movie.
Is that the one with Aaron Eckhart?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Second full-length movie, Juno.
Okay. Not bad.
He's got some other movies in there that I don't really know. His latest one was The Front Runner, that Hugh Jackman movie about the presidential candidate.
Didn't see that yet.
Or senator. I don't know. That was an award show buzz movie. I thought it was nominated for some stuff. I guess last year he did release a movie called Tully with Charlize Theron, which I don't know too much about.
Never heard of it.
So that's recently, and those are some of the movies he started with.
Okay. Nothing bad
so he's
there.
Got more directing credits than I thought.
Yeah,
but I think a lot of it is indie stuff that I don't really know what it is.
I mean, the things I do know, nothing bad, you know?
A couple episodes of The Office. 2 episodes of The Office.
Does it say names of the episodes?
Frame Toby and Local Ad.
He filmed the Frame Toby episode?
Yes.
And the Local Ad episode. Okay. You know what? I'm on board. Right there, I could be on board with the comedy he can present because I love The Office, and I mean, even I know just those thinking episodes.
Of like Juno, like the sense of humor in Juno, I could see that working for Ghostbusters.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. If you're unaware, the Frame Toby episode is the one when Toby returns back from Costa Rica and the famous Michael Scott screaming "no" meme occurs. that is the Frame Toby episode.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I know there's so much more I want to talk about with this. I feel like I have so much I want to get off my chest, and I can't think of where I want to go. So I already feel like as much as I like this announcement, I feel like there's a lot of people that are going to take the wrong thing away from this announcement. That basically Sony deciding to move forward with a proper Ghostbusters sequel makes it look like the internet trolls and man babies won against the female Ghostbusters. That their bullying of that movie made this movie happen. I don't think that's necessarily true. I mean, I guess it's the same discussion we've had before. I think that movie failed not because of the vocal minority that screamed women can't be Ghostbusters, but because that movie, at least for my money, did not acknowledge the previous films. It rebooted the universe, yet told a story that was very similar to the original, went largely in the same direction, but in my opinion, wasn't funny.
Mm. It wasn't. Here's the thing. It's Ghostbusters is a dark comedy. It doesn't have the overtly funny slapstick stupid shit that you get in some horror films. And that is almost the direct route they went in that remake. And it didn't feel anything at all like it belonged as a Ghostbusters movie. Yeah. You could have called that anything else, taken the logos off of their uniforms, and I would have not made the connection. And that's... I could go on about that movie and why I don't like it a lot, but it didn't hit the notes. And, you know, like, it's no offense. Kristen Wiig is hilarious. Melissa McCarthy's hilarious. These women are funny. But they are not the same kind of funny that you get out of Harold Ramis and Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd, and it's just not the same tone. They're not the same type of comedians. And I feel like that is where they tripped up.
Plus, just poor storytelling in general.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, like, the whole story of, like, the ghost and all that being whatever the fuck that was awful. Like, the ghost in that movie was terrible. The main ghost, whatever its name was, that was awful. And, like, I can think of one thing in that movie that I genuinely liked, and that was Chris Hemsworth. You know, like,
yes.
you know, or aquariums like submarines for fish. Like, okay, he was funny. But the rest of it, it failed for its own reasons. It wouldn't have mattered if that was 4 guys, 4 women, 4 Martians. It wouldn't have mattered who was the lead roles in that movie. That movie was going to fail.
And that's, I think, sort of one of the points I kind of want to make, and maybe a question I want to ask you guys. So, if they're talking about the leads for this movie being 2 guys and 2 girls, how do you think this movie is actually going to be received? Like, do you think this will be... I guess this is sort of like the litmus test for this movie. It is essentially Ghostbusters 3, continuing where 2 left off. So we're getting what me personally, what I wanted from a Ghostbusters movie after Ghostbusters 2, like a straight up sequel.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really care for the cast and what they were trying to do. But if there actually are enough people out there that think women can't be Ghostbusters, even if this movie continues that continuity, yet they are casting 2 female leads amongst this cast, do you think there will still be people that are going to bitch about this movie and not go see it?
Depends on the movie. If you make a movie good enough, people won't notice.
But I mean, for as much hate as just that other Ghostbusters movie got, just because there were female leads in that movie.
These days, the internet trolls come out anytime something is perceived by them to be equal, and done for that purpose. Like, if they perceive anything as being like, oh, they're only doing it that way so that women can get the leg up or something, they come out and they go crazy over something. In this case, maybe not. I don't think they would come out so much against a mixed cast as they would against an all-female cast.
Of course, I guess what I could see doing is maybe they don't come out against the mixed cast, but specifically target the women and give them crap for being in this movie. I would not be surprised if something like that happened.
It's the internet, man. I don't put anything past anybody anymore. And anything that gets made now, somebody's bitching about it.
Yeah.
And that's the honest truth. There's always going to be those people that bitch. Are they going to, negative reviews spam it or anything like that? Probably not. I think...
Because I feel like a lot of the internet, like, the vocal part of the internet was that, women can't be Ghostbusters. This is the big thing. That's what was getting headlines. It's the vocal part of the internet. It's a minority, but it's the most vocal part. Reading at that time, I feel like what people were thinking of that Ghostbusters movie, reacting to that trailer, there were a lot of people I felt like that fell in line with me, that they were upset, not because it's a female cast of Ghostbusters, but because it is specifically a reboot.
Yeah.
When there was no necessary reason for it to be a reboot.
Right.
You could continue that story that happened in the 80s and just make a new movie, which is what we all wanted.
And pass the torch.
I feel like a passing of the torch movie is the next logical step for an old cast of characters that can't be in these franchises anymore, is to get a younger cast to keep it going, continue that story. There are smart ways to do that. And that was my biggest bitch about that Ghostbusters reboot movie, is that I felt like there was a lot smarter ways to craft a story. Even you could use that same cast of characters, but set it in present day, following Ghostbusters 2, and just have the old guys hand to a cast of female Ghostbusters, and you have a better movie.
I agree. And I mean, it makes me nervous because for the same reason I said at the beginning, because I would prefer this to just be a conclusion. I would prefer end the story with the original Ghostbusters. Just, draw some kind of conclusion out of it. And they don't want to do that. They want to pass the torch. Fine. Will the internet trolls... Go ahead.
Can't they do both? They can end their story and start a new one in the same movie, couldn't they?
True.
Which I feel like what's probably going to happen. I feel like that's what they're gearing towards.
Well, and even that said, to your question with the internet trolls and all that coming out and going crazy on the movie, I see the potential for it if Bill Murray's not involved. I think that's what'll trigger it.
They're going to win a lot of good graces on the internet if he decides to come into it.
Right. If Bill Murray's there, people are not going to be willing to touch it. They're not going to want to go after it because they're going to say, well, if Bill Murray's involved, we'll deal with it. Whatever it must be good. because he wouldn't go in if it wasn't going to be. So I think if they announce like, hey, we got Bill Murray, then that'll silence it all.
Yeah, I think all will be forgiven at that point.
If they announce, oh, Bill Murray's not in this movie, you may as well prepare for World War III on that movie. And I'll be on board with the the hate for it, because
it's Wabbit season.
Like, as much as I'd love to see him continue Peter Venkman to be in this movie, I really don't think he's necessary, especially if they are doing a storyline that's going to pass the torch. I don't know how much he'd be in it anyway, if they're going to try to focus on a new cast of characters.
See, that's the thing is, I'm hoping
maybe
that
that'll
they
be enough
don't
of a draw
focus
to get him in,
on the new cast of characters. I'm hoping they focus on the old cast and
pass the torch right towards the end.
Fifth act passing of the torch.
Yep.
But see, that kind of defeats the purpose of a pass the torch story. Is you need to get to know these new characters so that when the pass the torch happens, you give a shit what happens after.
Well,
that.
then do 50-50. Half the movie is old guys and half the movie's the new guys.
Well, you think about how Force Awakens opened. That was a pass the torch movie, and you don't see the returning characters until a third of the way into the movie. You follow the new guys the entire movie. It just so happens that they cross paths with the original cast of characters. So by the time you get to the end of Force Awakens, you are on board with this new cast.
Hell, by the time we get to the end of The Force Awakens, we still hadn't seen Luke. But
that too.
But I don't feel like this is the same, though. I don't feel like it can be the same.
Well, I guess the difference is that it the way the Star Wars has been passing the torch kind of is they're giving, at least that seemed to be the plan. Each one of these movies was giving one original character, one original trilogy cast member their own sort of send-off. To your point with the Ghostbusters movie, we're not going to get 3 other movies that are going to give, Ray Stantz a send-off, and then
there's no need for that either. But
right.
I also think it's just different in that the world is different that they're in that, what the Ghostbusters have done would be worldwide news at this point. Everybody knows who the Ghostbusters are. And maybe 30 years down the line, people are thinking, maybe we don't need them anymore. The ghosts haven't been around in a while or something. Maybe that's the route they play. And these kids start to experience something separately, and somehow, it ends up tying back in, wait, these guys still exist. Maybe we should ask them for advice or get them involved or try and convince them that something's actually happening, and they, go that route. I don't know, but whatever it is, I think it's definitely a different kind of thing where they're not going to happen upon Han Solo, by accident,
right.
Or...
Yeah, I think that the way The Force Awakens works for that Star Wars story, I think they can do it differently. I do think you can open with Ghostbusters as, following the original guys that, you're right, maybe they're getting too old, they can't do it. And maybe they just put up a, we're hiring sign for something, and you just get kids off the street. And then you get to know those kids as they're learning the Ghostbusters trade.
That's how we got Winston.
Yeah. They could use that same exact storytelling technique to get new characters in there. I mean, but yeah, this is all speculation at this point. But I do want to ask one question that sort of spins from this. Is there anything we can read into about the plot of this next movie from the teaser? Or do you think the teaser's just to hit on all those nostalgic notes? Do you think there's a reason in this story that the Ecto-1 is in a barn with a tarp over it not being used, and someone seems to be tinkering with a proton pack?
I think what I said is that they were worldwide news back in the 80s and all that stuff happened, and it's gone quiet since then. So they put Vigo down and all this, they fucking spray all of New York with the pink goo, and they do that whole deal, and then now nothing's happened. And so the Ecto-1's just been sitting there and gathering rust and whatever. And, maybe it's Oscar who's tinkering with the proton pack. Maybe it's Ray. I don't think it would be Venkman. I don't think it would be Winston.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, I don't think it would be Winston or Venkman. But It could be Ray, it could be Oscar, it could be a new character.
Rick Moranis.
Maybe.
He's the type of character that would blow his face off if he tries to mess with the proton pack.
Right. But I could see him messing with one just for the fuck of it.
Somehow locking himself in the barn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of ways that could go, but I think that's the general idea is that, I think that could be how they play it, is that they're out of action for a long, long time, and something happens and they're back.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be a good way to do the story.
The mayor comes calling back. We need the Ghostbusters.
I hope it's the same mayor from the original two. Somehow still in office 20 years later.
Yes. 30, though. 30.
Oh, that's right. Shit. Jesus Christ, I can't add.
I don't think...
Andy, any story ideas from the trailer or anything? Where do you think you go? Anything you're expecting?
No, I mean, it's pretty obvious that Ecto hasn't been used, so it's probably something like Mike's saying. Things have gone quiet and hasn't been a need for it.
Yeah.
I thought it was. I don't know if I would call it suspicious, but the music was definitely from the first one.
Yeah, I'd have to go. I haven't watched Ghostbusters 2 as much as I have Ghostbusters 1, so I can't honestly remember if that score is used at all in Ghostbusters 2.
Right, so I'm wondering if it maybe has to do something with crossing the streams and the, choose the form of your Destructor and all that fun stuff. I wonder if they did actually, destroy her.
We get another Stay Puffed.
Well, no, that not that one, but the woman god. I can't remember what it goes.
Gozer.
Are you a god?
Yeah, I'm anxious.
Or maybe she's got a sister,
Gozette,
or a brother or something.
Gozeo.
Just keep going, Mike.
Well, he's got to make another suggestion.
Uncle.
Gozario.
Father.
Goza.
Second,
if they don't...
second cousin on the mother's side.
That's Lita.
Oh.
I feel like if they don't cast Rosario Dawson for Gozaria, it has to fit.
To your question, by the way, David Margulies, the actor that played the mayor, died 2016.
CG him like Tarkin. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's Rogue One that shit. He's that important.
The man who played, I guess he's a man now, who played baby Oscar is Henry J. Deutschendorf II.
Yeah, there were twins, I think, that played him.
No, this just lists one. But, maybe, yeah, I think he was a twin. I don't know. Weird. I think he has a twin, but they're only listing him as the cast.
So maybe only one of them was a confirmed actor or took up acting after that. I don't know.
Perhaps, but he has not acted since then.
No.
That is his only credit, is as baby Oscar. So
I wouldn't expect him back.
No.
But do you know who I expect to be back?
Peter McNichol?
Slimer?
Yes, Slimer.
Considering he even made his way into the female Ghostbusters, he's better be in this one too.
Right?
Yeah, Slimer's got to show up somewhere. Slimer was like a Ghostbuster sidekick even on the cartoon. He was a good guy.
Oh, yeah, he was awesome in the cartoon.
Yeah. I mean, I need another something to happen with Slimer and Ray. And just like Venkman, Ray, Slimer, something.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so anxious to see where this goes. I can't wait to see casting announcements for this. like a proper trailer. I wanted even just a taste of what this story is going to give us. Even though like we might have general broad strokes of what to expect here, I'm anxiously waiting to see where this movie goes. This is, like I said, this is already... It's definitely going to hit my anticipated for 2020, hands down. I don't know how high, depending on what Marvel movies come out.
Yeah, we've got a lot to know about next year that we don't know yet. So,
one thing I will say, for anyone that wants to get their Ghostbusters fix between now and then, for God's sakes, download and play Ghostbusters, the video game that had the original cast of characters in that game. That, for all intents and purposes, was Ghostbusters 3 prior to this announcement. They had the original cast back.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about.
It was in part written by Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd.
That was the one that was released on PS3 and Xbox 360.
Yes, it's a couple generations old.
Is there backwards compatibility on this?
For Xbox, it is. Yes, because I downloaded it and I have it on my Xbox One.
Then it is a strong possibility. No,
have you not played it, Mike? Oh, for God's sake, please play it.
I've only ever seen maybe like the first level being played, and I've never played it myself.
The banter that happens in that game is on par with the movie. I've laughed a lot playing that game. I've played through that game numerous times.
Okay.
They tie off a lot of story.
Is it the same? Like they got Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd and all them to voice act it?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
I'm gonna play it. I didn't realize that.
Everybody is back. Annie Potts is back. The entire forecast of Ghost. William Atherton is there. Walter Peck is back.
Wait, William? Oh my God, William Atherton? Seriously? I was trying to remember who he was, and I'm like, wait. Oh God.
Yeah, the mayor puts him in charge to oversee the Ghostbusters, so that is a fun dynamic.
That's right.
For the story
this man has no dick.
He's the one responsible for like the damage that they cause. He has to be the one to tell them to stop it because they're costing the city too much money.
Oh God. That's awesome. All right, yeah, all right.
Yes. The game is highly recommended, and even I think I've talked about it before. The IDW Ghostbusters comic book series takes place. It actually, I think, essentially continues where the story of the video game leaves. Like the video game introduces a character called the Rookie, which is who you play. The Ghostbusters look for a fifth ghostbusting member, and right at the start of the game, Ray's trying to ask this guy, "What's your name?" And Venkman's like, "Don't tell us your name. You might be short-lived to this world because you're testing new equipment. You could blow up. We don't want to get too attached." So the guy is only ever known as the Rookie. He never talks in the course of the game, but at the end of the game, the Rookie goes off to start a Ghostbusters franchise. So franchises of Ghostbuster teams pop up around the United States. There's one in LA. There becomes one in Chicago. There's the core team in New York. The Ghostbusters comic book series starts picking up as the Ghostbusters are franchised and stuff happens around the globe. And there's a lot of cool tie-ins to other Ghostbusters lore. I've got a couple trades where, just like any comic book story, they open up portals to other dimensions and stuff like that. So the movie Ghostbusters crossover with the animated real Ghostbusters in the comic books, which is fun. And one of the more recent ones they've done is where they ripped open a hole in the universe where the original movie Ghostbusters crossed paths with the female Ghostbusters, which is one of the better storylines they've done. And that alone could be a potential for some sort of crossover down the line because the banter that they write for these characters to play off of each other is great. So I'd something I'd like to see too. So if you want more Ghostbuster stuff, I'd highly recommend the video game and the comic book series. Definitely check those out. So that is my Ghostbusters PSA for this episode. All right, on to some video game news. So the first one I have is something we've talked about before, that there were rumors about possibility of being able to play games with your friends, regardless of the platform they own. So conceivably, if you own an Xbox and your friend owned a PS4, if you both owned the same game on your respective console, you would be able to play together. It seemed like the PC crowd and Microsoft and Nintendo were all on board for this. Sony seemed to be the holdout. But within the last, week or two, whenever this broke, Crossplay took its first steps forward with its first game. Sony has allowed Rocket League to be played cross-platform on any platform. So this game can be played regardless of what platform or system you own. You should be able to play with your friends if they own the game, either on PC, Nintendo Switch, Xbox, PS4. It doesn't matter. You can play together. The only catch right now is that you can only play with friends on other platforms in private matches. Psyonix, the developer of Rocket League, has said that in a future update they will allow you to party up with your friends on any platform and then play online together. So that is coming. So this is definitely the first step in something that will be larger going forward for the game. But considering this has never, to my knowledge, really been done before, I feel like this is a big deal, and I don't know how much news this is going to get, but I think this is a big, very big step forward. I don't know, Mike, what do you think?
Definitely. I love the idea of crossplay because it simplifies the issues that people have with, I have this system, I have that system. Yeah, I mean, you'll still have console exclusives, PC exclusives, all that stuff is still going to exist. That crossplay is not going to get rid of that. But it gets you the opportunity to say, like, hey, Andy, we just talked earlier. You know, you need to catch up on Destiny, but you don't have it for Xbox. Maybe if they had crossplay, we could work that out. We could have been playing together a long time ago on Destiny. The only thing I think, and I think it's going to be a real issue to address going forward, is in competitive games, especially like Rocket League, shooters, keyboard and mouse on PC has a distinct advantage in all competitive play. How are they going to balance that? Other than that, I don't see any issues whatsoever. Maybe they make it co-op only. You know, if you want to go into, and I think that's where Rocket League kind of falls off on that, is because there really is no co-op only Rocket League.
Yeah. But
other games, there is co-op only, and I don't think it's as much of an advantage for Rocket League with PC. It's probably not. It might be, with the higher frames per second available and things like that, but in general, I think they may end up having to do co-op only just for that very reason, because of the competitive balance and PC just being leaps and bounds ahead of console and controllers.
See, I was thinking about that, and I feel like if this becomes a staple moving forward, that maybe it's just like a matchmaking option, where if you're searching for online games, maybe you can just check like what platforms you want to be able to matchmake with. So if you want the option to play with a PC crowd, you just say, yeah, I'm cool with playing with PC. But if you want to take them out, you should be able to like uncheck a box somewhere that says, you know, PC owners or something.
I feel like
that's going to be totally up to the developer, though.
Yes, yeah. Microsoft, Sony, the publishers and companies like that can allow the option to be there, but it is up to the developers of the game if they want to allow the games to be cross-platform. So, to Mike's point, in the case of shooters, which, yes, keyboard and mouse has a distinct advantage compared to console owners with a controller in their hand. So, developers might not want their game to be able to be played against each other in that capacity. So maybe they would limit that from the start. You wouldn't actually have that option.
Well, I mean, that's part of why I see like the co-op only thing is like they make it so that it can be done. So say in Destiny, you could go into raids, strikes, whatever, but you just couldn't enter PvP together unless you're on the same platform.
And that would be cool too. Yeah. It still checks that crossplay box. Right. But you're not getting frustrated over getting owned by someone with a keyboard and mouse the entire time. Yeah, like
equal skill keyboard and mouse is going to just trash all over somebody with a controller in their hand. You're not competitive. And that's fine. It's just one of those things they have to keep in mind going forward with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if this becomes a trend, I am curious to see which games allow it, how quickly something like this will catch on, because this has been a long time coming, yes. I feel like. And so if this is the first game to do this, I feel like we're still in the early stages. It's still going to be years before a lot of games start adopting this.
Well, wasn't Fortnite doing it?
Was it every platform?
Well, it wasn't.
I feel like it might have been
every
some.
Platform.
I don't remember if it was
I think they excluded PC.
Okay. Yeah, if because I always thought Sony was the holdout. So if Sony allowed cross-platform with Xbox and Switch for Fortnite, then
it may have been Sony that was the holdout. I know they did cross-platform play for Fortnite, but it may not have been Sony. It may have been Sony that was the holdout. I would have to look it up because I don't actually play the game, so I don't know specifically. I don't keep up.
Okay.
I remember seeing a big deal about Fortnite having crossplay, but
yeah, because I remember
that was all I remember.
It was a big thing. Like Microsoft was, I think, one of the first studios to really be like, "Hey, look, we're open to it if people want to do it," and they pretty much like extended the olive branch. And I think shortly after that, Nintendo was like, yeah, that sounds fun. We could support that. But Sony was the one that's like, we don't see a need for that. We're totally fine where we're at the top of the console selling market, selling twice as much as all these other consoles. We don't give a shit what everybody else wants to do. So I don't know what they thought it was going to affect, or if they're thinking it's going to affect console sales. I don't know what their reasoning was, but they seemed very reluctant to allow this to happen.
I mean, for me, I think the biggest thing is that you've got some games that may be popular for niche crowds, that cross-platform play would open up a significantly bigger player base for them to go from. So like I you know me, I play a lot of Destiny. I'm very up to date on what's going on with the game. Currently on Destiny, your average daily PvP on Destiny sees 350,000 people or so, according to the tracker websites that show you the data on such things. And among that, about half of it's on PlayStation, about 30% on PC, and about 20% on Xbox. So that 350,000, it's really not that much when you consider the Xbox and PC crowds are only getting 20% of that. So you're talking 70,000 people playing PvP in a day on Xbox around the world. That's not much, especially when you have P2P servers, which is mind-boggling that they still do. But they have P2P servers, and you have 70,000 people around the world to matchmake with. And that's in 24-hour period. That's not at any given time, you know? So I think it's a very good thing for a lot of games. And Destiny is not by any means a niche game. It's just a game slowing down. Whereas some other games, like maybe Dark Souls, would benefit greatly by having a much larger PvP crowd available for it that could crossplay. Because it's an older game, but the people that still do play it would, I'm sure, welcome there being more people to do it with.
Yeah. Andy, anything to add?
I think it'd be neat to have the ability to play with anybody. You know, I have Destiny 2 for my PlayStation, and I think it'd be neat to play with you guys. A lot of the reason I stopped playing Destiny 2, besides the fact that it got ultra boring, was that I didn't really have anybody to play it with. Because everyone that I played it with and was doing stuff with dropped out about the same time that I did. So, actually, I kept going. None of them did. And then it just, like, playing it solo just kind of got...
Wasn't it Luke Smith said the friend game is the end game?
Yeah, I think this could open up more game sales. Maybe not console sales, but you think of people that have different consoles, like, you know, Andy and I do and stuff like that, that if you don't want to spend the money to invest in another console to play the game as somebody else, but if you just need to buy the game, regardless of console, to play with a friend, I think that would drive game sales.
Yeah, because some games somebody might say, like, hey, oh, I have Xbox and all my friends that play this have it on PlayStation. There's no point in me buying it.
Right. Yeah. Get everybody to have that inclusive group for games and stuff like that. Have it more of a, I don't know, bring that part of the fun of gaming and make that a bigger, more accessible for people, I guess is the word I'm looking for. That could only help video games and video game sales and all that stuff.
Yeah, I don't see any losers in cross-platform play.
Yeah, which is why I was confused why Sony seemed reluctant to do this. I feel like this is a win-win for everybody involved. I mean, I don't. Maybe there's more logistics in just actually setting something like that up, or whatever they have to approve or do. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be easy. And I think, there could be like the security issues that who's responsible for this, that, or the other, maybe with connecting people, could be a thing. But I really don't know.
So, yeah, this is something else we'll probably have to keep our eye on and see if there's any other games that are announced for crossplay. Rocket League seems to be, I guess, considered the quote-unquote beta for this type of thing. To see how they do it, see how it works, see what they do. I don't know if... I have Rocket League. I'll have to see if there's anybody on another platform or system that I can try to play with to see how it works at some point going forward. But, it could be... It's definitely something to try. I think it's only good news, so... I definitely think this is a good thing to see happen, and I'm curious to see where it goes.
Agreed.
All right, last bit of news. We've been touching on some Destiny stuff. This is big news for Destiny fans. Just a little bit of history. Back in the day, Bungie, which is the developer studio behind Destiny, was bought up by Microsoft to make Halo for the Xbox. That was their console exclusive for Microsoft. They were working on the Halo franchise. So Halo went on to become one of the biggest IPs for Microsoft. Halo Reach was the final Halo game by Bungie. They decided they wanted to work on a new IP, a new game moving forward. Microsoft obviously wanted to continue the Halo franchise, so Bungie kind of split up. Part of the company stayed as Bungie, went on to create a new IP, which would become Destiny. The other part of Bungie wanted to continue making Halo games. They stayed on with Microsoft to create 343 Studios. They continue to make Halo games to this day. So the developers of Bungie went to make another publishing deal with the studio. So they partnered with Activision to help Destiny get going. Activision is most known in the gaming community for publishing the Call of Duty franchise. So this game sees year releases, is constantly one of the highest selling video games each year it releases. Bungie always promoted Destiny as being an ever-evolving game that you could conceivably create a character, carry that same character with you over 10 years worth of content. Bungie made the deal with Activision in 2010. Their contract was supposed to last 10 years. During those 10 years, constant pressure from Activision changed the direction of Destiny. Activision supposedly pushed the game to get basically a new game release, I think every maybe 2 years, or at the very least a very sizable DLC edition to push sales.
I believe the contract was 2 years per game release, and every year it needs to have at least one large DLC content.
Okay. So this would fall in line with sort of like the annual release schedule that Activision has for like their other franchise, like Call of Duty. Every year they're getting a good chunk of money based on what is released. So part of this deal seems to go against what Bungie promised from the start. So we fast forward to where Destiny's player base has suffered. Case in point, Andy fell off the game here. So it seems to have a hard time keeping people invested in the game. Earlier in this month, Bungie made the announcement that they will be splitting from Activision prior to the 10-year agreement of their deal. This is year 8, 9, just about 9. And they will self-publish Destiny moving forward. That means Bungie will exclusively own Destiny as their own IP. Activision has no part in Destiny moving forward. Now, stuff like this rarely happens. This is big news for developers and studios. If developers and publishers ever split, it never seems like the rights stay with the developers who made the game. The publishing studio, I feel like, typically hangs on to that IP, and they just have another developer come in to revive the franchise and keep it going. Or, sort of in case of Activision and Call of Duty is basically Activision's IP, and they have multiple developers working on the same franchise, so they rotate the release schedule. That's how they can get it out annually, is that one developer will make a game every 2 years, but they sort of overlap. So 1 year it's one studio, the following year it's another studio, the year after that it goes back to the first studio, and so on and so forth. So since Mike is probably the biggest Destiny player that I know, I'll start with you. How do you feel about this news?
Well, here's the thing. Bungie doesn't have the excuse for mistakes that get made any longer of it being Activision's fault. But
I feel like they use that card a lot as well.
Yes.
yeah,
Like more so than what is actually Activision's fault.
well, yeah, and we all know that, and we all know that it's not all Activision here. A lot of these decisions are made by Bungie. The decision at the start of Destiny 2 to push a PvP setting that was designed seemingly to try to be an MLG type of game, they could maybe blame that on Activision, but I kind of feel like that was their decision. The nerfing and buffing and all of that stuff that they do has nothing to do with Activision. Bungie has a very clear track record of listening to people that are crying all over their forums all the time about weapons being overpowered, underpowered, etc., and then and they take things too far. They hear the feedback and then they go too far with it.
Overcompensate.
Yes, they just take a weapon that was fun to use or a super that was fun to use, and they nerf it so far into the ground that nobody ever uses it again. I'm looking at Thorn in Destiny 1 and The Last Word in Destiny 1, which just came back to the game. And all these things seemingly they don't fall on Activision at all. But what does fall on Activision is the fact that I had a character that I put untold hundreds of hours into on Destiny 1 that I had to completely abandon, except for the visual look of the character, which is extremely limited. Like, among your character creation options in AAA video games, it's pretty weak for RPG character creation. What they allow you to do is very limited. But other than that, making its face look a certain way, I had nothing of my character travel with me from the first game to the second game. That's on Activision.
Oh man, you still had the Bradley panache. It's all good.
Yeah, and that was a big problem, like for a lot of players. Like when I started the game, I knew that would kind of be the case because I started a little bit late. Now we have the chance for Bungie to say we are just going to expand. Bungie has the chance to do that at this time. We have next month, well, not technically next month since today's the 31st, but in March we're getting the next season with the season pass coming out. Sometime in the late spring, early summertime, we will get the final part of the season pass, and then next fall, there is scheduled to be another large DLC release, and the following year was meant to be Destiny 3. If they can either somehow package Destiny 3 as carrying my character and all of my equipment with me, or package that as merely an add-on to Destiny 2, instead of a brand new game where I have to start all over again. Because with a game that we invest this much time into, it's important that, we're going to have this stuff for a long time, because they put in very grindy, time-consuming tasks for us to do to obtain certain things in the game. And when you put that kind of time towards obtaining that weapon, piece of armor, whatever the hell it is, could just be a sparrow or a ship, you put a lot of time into getting that. And if it's only going to be with me for the next 6 months, I'm probably not going to put the time into it. But if it's going to be with me for the next 6 years, yeah, all right, I'm in. If I'm going to have the ability to access that for a very long time, I'll be much more interested in the investment. So that's important to me, that Bungie takes this opportunity to not release that. I will pay them $60 for their big release like it's a full game, and so will so many people. They just need to take that leap, I think. What does it mean creatively? I think creatively we're going to get a little bit more of the Destiny 1 style storytelling, which I think will be a definite positive, at least in terms of what the lore is and how deep it actually is. Destiny 1 did not do a great job of conveying the lore in the game with cinematics and dialogue and things like that. And so Activision very obviously pushed for the more cinematic approach. So there's more cutscenes, there's more in-game dialogue, but it's all very shallow in Destiny 2. With the exception of the lore surrounding the raid, which you have to get the same way you got in the first game, which is by reading the pieces of armor that you get from the raid, reading a lot of stuff. And they started to incorporate Grimoire back in, kind of, with Forsaken, but it still feels... It feels good in a lot of ways, but I feel like they're retreading some steps that they already told in the Grimoire of Destiny 1 that people didn't read. Because if you tell people, you can find out about this story, about this stuff, and here's where, they're probably not going to do it, and they don't follow it unless they're really interested like I was. So I think we get a chance for Destiny to be Bungie's true vision, but Bungie no longer has that crutch of an excuse of it's Activision's fault. The other thing to keep in mind is that Bungie did sign a pretty large deal with a Chinese company not long ago to develop a mobile game for some Chinese company, I believe. And that could be part of the spark that caused this, because it was like $250 million that they signed with them. It was significant.
Is it going to be a Destiny game?
No, it's a completely different thing they're working on.
Are you sure it's mobile?
That's what I remember about it. It was a long time ago they signed the contract.
Yeah, I feel like I remember reading that they made a deal with some outside company. I thought it was a Chinese company for some insane amount of money to just make another IP.
It might just be an IP.
The articles that I mentioned didn't mention mobile, so that's why I wasn't sure if that was confirmed.
That may just be me getting mixed up with the stupid Warcraft thing that Blizzard's making. And
I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. I just don't remember reading that it was specific to a mobile game.
I've read a lot of articles recently. It's probably me just being mixed up. But nonetheless, they still have the big giant contract with the Chinese company to make another game, which now that they don't, because this also came out just recently. Part of what I was talking with you about earlier, Brian, is that now that Activision's out, that means Vicarious Visions is out. And
what's that?
Vicarious Visions was the studio that helped them make Warmind and Forsaken. They were like a assisting studio, and some of the coolest content and stuff that they did came from Vicarious Visions.
Was it Vicarious Visions, or was it a third studio that was working on the PC version of the game? Because it wasn't. I didn't think
both of them are out. There was a third studio whose name I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay, yeah, because I don't remember Bungie developing the PC version. That was another Activision-owned studio as well.
Yeah, and they're also out, of course. But I can't remember their names, so I don't.
High Noon? Was High Noon the studio that worked on?
Might be.
For some reason, I don't know. Yeah, I'd have to research that. I don't remember if that was the exact. For whatever reason, that studio name jumped in my head.
Yeah, I don't PC games, so I don't really know. But yeah, there was a different company that's out, and it drew up questions about, is Bungie going to be able to keep up making PC content without that studio? Are they going to be able to pay another studio to do it? Things like that. If Vicarious Visions had a large hand in Warmind and Forsaken, which are the two best expansions that we've had for Destiny 2 by far. And like I said, the additional cool content, like it was Vicarious Visions' idea and putting it into action that led to people finding the Warmind Javelin out on the mountain trail. Like they found there was a puzzle in game that Vicarious Visions made that wound up leading to an actual physical replica of a Destiny weapon on I
do remember reading
geocache.
that. Okay.
They put a geocache out. So there was a puzzle in game and outside the game and all that, where it led to coordinates, and people in the real world went to those coordinates and found this stuff. That was Vicarious Visions. That was part of their thing, which is an awesome addition, even though it's not really much in the game. But they had a lot to do with the good stuff that came. So Bungie being on its own, having that other deal to do this game for the Chinese company, I don't know the extent of their capabilities at this point. Bungie's a large company, but they're not ginormous by any means. I think there's like 800 employees at Bungie.
Yeah, and what this means also, Activision took care of the marketing for all this stuff too. Marketing, promotion for Destiny, getting the word out there, getting the game published. All that stuff is going to fall on Bungie now. So I don't know if it seems like they may have bitten off more than they could chew.
You know,
of course, every press release they talk about says, we got this handled. We've learned a lot from being under this company to see how things work, and we got this under control. But we will see.
I'm predicting a lot more microtransactions.
And that's another point I was going to bring up, is that yes, full game releases for $60 sucks, but it pays the bills.
Right.
And for a smaller studio that is now in charge of a big AAA title, they're going to have to pay the bills. So and if they're not doing full game releases every year like Activision did, they have to make that income somehow, which means 1, either more microtransactions, or 2, more often paid DLC.
I'd say you're going to see more often paid DLC, but I also think you'll still see the $60 every 2 years. I'm just hoping that the $60 is available kind of the way Diablo does it, or Warcraft does it, or, a lot of these other MMOs that you can go and you can just have add-ons that still sell at full price.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like reading some of this stuff online, people were like, oh, yay, we're not going to have to pay for DLC anymore. No, I think you're missing the point of what is happening.
Yeah, you're not getting everything for free at this point.
Activision's gone. Right. We don't need money anymore. What?
There's still... I'm assuming they're a publicly traded company.
To be honest, I don't know.
Bungie's publicly traded.
So,
they're going to have to answer to their shareholders if they are.
Activision is, because Mike and I were sort of talking about that a little bit ago, is that Activision stock dropped and their shareholders are pissed off because they are all under the impression, and Activision, I guess, basically made no mention that they were going to split with Bungie. So the news was a surprise for shareholders who thought they still had a year and a half of Destiny under Activision, and that they're suing Activision now for being misled, that they were told, we can invest in this company because we're going to have this very popular game for another year and a half. So I think, what is it, class action lawsuit or something like that? What do they call it?
Yeah, that's what's happening.
Yeah. So Activision's getting sued. Bungie seems to be okay for now, but I guess we'll see.
My personal hope, and my honest, partially it's my expectation, that the end result of this is Bungie just walking back into Microsoft's open arms like, all right, we're back. And then Microsoft saying, good, let's do this right again. And, let's not have the problems we had last time, It may have been an abusive relationship, but they're back for more.
Yeah, it was like, I think one article I read, I think it was from Kotaku, was talking about how, he heard from someone involved with Bungie that there was a meeting to say they were splitting from Activision. Everyone in the room cheered and celebrated by popping champagne, and it was this big celebration. And he ended the article by basically saying, yeah, well, Bungie celebrated the same way when they left Microsoft 10 years ago.
Right. I read that very same article.
So, yeah, there's a lot to... Sure, it looks all nice and rosy now, but if Bungie struggles, they're going to have to go make a deal with another studio somewhere down the line.
And EA is just waiting to swoop in on that one. And then we'll see how people are happy that they're gone from Activision.
Yeah.
I mean, the truth is, like, I hope, part of me hopes and sees the potential for them to go to a better publisher than Activision, than EA, than an Ubisoft. Get them away from those companies that are overbearing and over your shoulder, and get them to somebody that's not. Somebody that lets you do your own thing more, you know? And I think that's important for them in choosing whoever that next publisher is going to be.
I think it would blow people's minds if you're right, Mike, and they sign with Microsoft. Like, Microsoft is, especially this last E3, was buying up studios all over the place to try to give their platform exclusive games that they could try to sell consoles for. They haven't announced what these studios are making, but they bought like 10 different studios, and some of them are pretty fucking good. So if suddenly they steal Bungie from Activision,
Sony
essentially,
will have a shit fit.
Yeah, because all these Destiny things are timed exclusives on PS4. Yeah. So Sony will shit themselves if suddenly Bungie is owned by Microsoft.
And, I mean, I'll be unhappy if it ends up with Sony buying them just because I have 2.5, 3 years of a character on Xbox that I then have to abandon for the next, whatever. That would kind of suck. Yeah. But I'd still do it. I hope it goes that way for Microsoft, because I also want to see, Halo fully realized again.
Why, you think Bungie being part of Microsoft will make that happen?
I mean, kind of the way you said it is the team split, and you had 343 and Bungie separated then. And maybe we get 343 and Bungie back together at Microsoft and making a full Bungie squad Halo game.
Yeah, I mean, the only difference there is that I don't know if the same people are still at those companies.
No idea.
Each of those companies has then expanded. That it's not like you're putting the puzzle back together. These are very two separate entities now.
Calm down.
And I am here to crush your dreams.
Halo 2 PvP can happen again. So, we can have this again.
Yeah, I don't know. With Bungie being that invested in Destiny, I even if they went back to Microsoft, I don't see them like reintegrating with 343.
No, maybe not reintegrating, but
I mean, that's not saying they won't share ideas if they're both under the same company, but Andy, since you sort of gave up on Destiny, does this give you any more incentive to want to jump back in or see where things go from here?
Not really. No, it really doesn't.
So nothing about this news excites you?
No, because I feel like I'm just gonna, log back on and have to grind all over again, and then the next DLC will come out, and hey, look, you got to do all that shit over again. So you're gonna go on and log on and try and get my light level back up, and then hey, look, another DLC. Like, oh no, I'm not that high anymore, so I'm gonna have to go on, grind a little bit more, and get my light level up, and it's just
that's the world of Destiny in a nutshell.
Yep.
And I think that's a big problem with burnout, is that people don't want to grind all year. They want new content, but they don't want to have to level grind throughout the entire year.
Right.
And
yeah.
I think, especially if it's not going to matter, which in Destiny it doesn't. I don't mind the level grind in a game like Diablo, because in Diablo, if I level grind and I go back to the first level, I can absolutely shit on everything I can see.
You can curb stomp everything. Awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you just flick you. Oh, you 2 flicks for you. And then, but like Destiny, I log on and the dregs are still like kicking the shit out of me. And I'm like, what the hell?
Exactly. Like, you've leveled up all this way just to access the content. And that's what it really amounts to, is that you're now a high enough level that you don't just get shit on by the content. But the old content that was hard before, now you're 500 levels higher than.
You should be able to run naked through with the original starting pistol hand cannon, and and just like you're dead, one-shotting fucking everything. But no, like you have to like legitimately fight everything all over again at like light level 380 or whatever the fuck it is.
Right.
Now.
And in Destiny 1, you had a little bit of that experience where you could go back and just shit on the game. Some of the most fun you can have in Destiny 1 now is go back to playing Vault of Glass, the year 1 version. And you can use pretty much whatever weapon you want and kill Atheon in one phase with friggin' sidearms if you want to, just to get a laugh out of it. And it's fun, to go back and be over-leveled. That's the point of leveling up is, some content gets easier and then you're able to do the harder stuff. And they don't do that in this game at all. And it makes raising the level pointless.
Right.
There's no point in having a higher level if the only thing that you're doing is gating people out of content until they reach that level.
Yeah, I don't know what the crowd they're aiming for is. I feel like they're tailing towards hardcore players that play all the time, but you're screwing out the casual guys who just jump on here and there that can't keep up with what is happening, and then you get frustrated and don't want to play.
That was me. It's just plus it's hard to play a game where you're supposed to play with people solo. It gets difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
I started trying to do some of those Osiris, they were I don't know, super missions or something, where you went into the garden? Was it a garden?
Oh, the forest?
No,
the Infinite
the
Forest?
forest or whatever.
Infinite Forest.
Yeah. I mean, you went into that and, the things were ultra fucking difficult, and I tried doing that a little bit solo. Man, let me tell you, I got curb stomped. But I was pretty decently high, light level at that point. It was just well, this is dumb, and I stopped playing.
So I'm going to make an executive comment and maybe just say that you're more excited for the crossplay function than what's going on with Bungie and Activision.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely say Bungie and Activision will see. Crossplay, all thumbs up. The Bungie Activision thing's kind of who makes the money from the game to me is not that relevant.
Right. I think I'm still a proponent of saying that Bungie has been making their bed for a very long time, and, that they need to sleep in it.
And that's, I think, the internet was, really overjoyed with this news, but you guys have both said it. I think a lot of these decisions came from Bungie, not Activision. Activision's just the one that everyone threw under the bus because they owned Bungie, and everyone thought the decisions were coming from the top down.
Yeah.
When I don't know if they were coming from that high up. And so, it'll be interesting to see what happens from here.
I'm also thinking, with all the deadlines that Activision was giving Bungie, it makes me hope that Bungie doesn't get lazy without, another force imposing deadlines on them. You know what I mean?
Well, I think part of the problem with the deadlines, at least from what everybody was throwing Activision on the bus for, was that it was rushing content before it was ready.
Right. And that's what worries me for people that are hardcore gamers and need that new content, need the new grind and stuff. I feel like it's going to be longer between said things because they don't have that master whipping, gotta get it out, gotta get it out.
And as a hardcore Destiny player, I can tell you I'm fine with that idea. Because the most fun I had in Destiny 1 was the last year of it, once I had already reached max level and had been there for months and months and months, and I could just go and play the raids, or play strikes, or I could just go in and play whatever I wanted to enjoy it. I had more fun doing that than I did grinding for levels. And I look forward to times like that coming in Destiny 2 at some point, where I can just go back and play the raids, play some strikes, do a nightfall here, do that, and I'm not doing it for powerful gear. I'm doing it because that's what I want to do at the time.
Right, but is it still gonna, if you're light level 380, all the enemies are gonna be 380? Is it?
I was okay with that. They that didn't even matter. During the end of Destiny 1, they had what was called the Age of Triumph. And during that time, they brought all the other raids except for Wrath, which is already high level, up to that high level. So Vault of Glass, Crota's End, and King's Fall all got brought up to 390. And so you were still playing a hard version of the raid that you weren't just going in and stomping all over like you were for the last couple years.
Right.
You could actually go in and have a challenge at it and get new, like the old gear at higher levels again. You know, so it's like, oh, great, I got a year 4 Fatebringer that's now a 400 Fatebringer. Awesome.
I am by no means a good Destiny player, but sometimes I feel like, you know, to grind out all those levels that you almost deserve to be able to go back and maybe do content that you can't do because, well, maybe you're just not good enough to do it.
Easier later is what
Yes. Yeah. Like, you grinded all this way, and something that you weren't able to do before when you were the same level as it, you still can't go back and play it now because it leveled with you.
And
I feel like you deserve a chance to experience that content because you grinded all these ways of the level.
Andy, is there any changes like going forward that would bring you back to the game, or are you just pretty much wiped? Is there anything with the split? Is there anything you'd like to see Bungie do moving forward that might bring you back to the game? For instance, if Mike's theory is right, and we do not see an actual sequel release going forward, but it's the same game, you keep your character, all your gear, and just constantly get updates to content moving forward. Even though you're behind now, is there anything that would seem appealing to you?
At this point, I'm kind of fed up with
Made your peace with
it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I got burned out pretty quickly on Osiris, so...
You and pretty much everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain times I hit the wall where I just need to walk away for a little bit and take a break.
I never went back, though.
Yeah, to your point, I think, like, I do have a constant sort of, like, fire team that I play, 2 or 3 guys that I play with Eric all the time still. Romano...
Before Spider-Man.
You know, fell off to play Spider-Man, but he used to play all the time. But luckily, Christmas came around, and a buddy of mine that used to play Destiny with us for Destiny 1 got an Xbox One for Christmas and bought Destiny 2, so we've been helping get him up to speed. So I've got a constant group that I can play with, which helps me want to.
And he's got me
the game.
anytime something hard comes up.
Right, which I do. I bring Mike up from the bench when I get stuck. So yes, having the support group makes it helps a long way to want to get you to play the game.
Yeah.
So I'm
and I dedicated a lot of my time to being a Sherpa in Destiny 1 and 2. And it's a rewarding experience to help people through their first time on, you know, raids, dungeons, things like that. It's a really fun experience to help people through. I enjoy it. And it's very helpful to have people like that around, because that's how I got started. Was the guy I founded our clan with did that for me through Destiny 1 toward the end of it. And that got me into doing it for other people. And it's really something that has fallen off in the community a lot. And I think that's part of the reason that a lot of people are leaving Jaded, is that there's not as many people out there willing to just help, because the grind is such that they have to help themselves first, and it just never ends. By the time they're done helping themselves, they're either burnt out or the new update's out and they have to help themselves again. So
Andy, we'll have to keep our eyes on Crossplay. If Crossplay ever becomes a thing with Destiny, and Destiny is still going at that point, I think Mike and I can both volunteer ourselves. If you want to work your way back up, we will be around.
If you buy it for Xbox and you actually want to get back into it at some point,
there is very little chance that I will end up buying it for Xbox.
I was just going to make you an offer that give me your login, I'll grind your character up to max level, and then you can, or close to it or whatever, and then you can just join in on stuff. I don't have a job. I'm bored. Beats deleting my own character.
But you have to pay Mike's weekly allowance for that to happen.
That'll be a case of Mountain Dew and some Doritos, sir.
The stereotypical video game snack.
I mean, that's not
Doritos
the
and
actual.
Mountain
I just
Dew.
went with it because I mean, if I was being true, it would be like Coke Zero and gummy bears. That's my go-to on the game.
There you go, Andy. You have your price. All right. So, any last thoughts for this one? I think otherwise we'll close it down. Nothing. Alrighty. Yeah, it's something else we'll keep our eyes on. I think I brought it up. I think mainly because it's something I've never really heard happen too often before, and I'm curious to see if this is going to last. Like we sort of talked about, we'll see if Bungie stays separate, if they're actually going to fall back into another company because they can't hack it themselves, since they may have tried this before. But I guess at the time they made Destiny wasn't a thing then. This is now a marketable brand. They might have a little bit more clout in the industry with just that IP. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes. We'll see how it goes. All right, I think that's it for us. If you've enjoyed the show, please stop by iTunes. You can leave us a 5-star rating and review. Be sure to share, subscribe, favorite the show wherever you can listen to us at. As always, you can find us on Facebook. Search Bright Guy and Super Friends, or go to facebook.com/BrightGuySuperFriends. You can send us questions, comments, topic suggestions, any of that stuff there. You can try to email us. I haven't checked it in probably a year. BrightGuySuperFriends@gmail.com. Or you can tweet us at BGSuperFriends on Twitter. That I can check. So Facebook and Twitter are probably your best places to reach out to us. On behalf of Andy, Mike, and myself, thank you for listening, and we will talk to you next time.